Hello everybody and welcome to an already very disappointing round number 7 of the Norway Chess Tournament. Not so much because Magnus Carlsen is not playing today, he has a rest day because of Liren's withdrawal from the tournament. But in our little Chess24 community here, there is no Pramod NVS in the chat after he got married. There is no Mr. Dodgy in the chat after he, went to a horse show in Oslo. So, what are we doing and why, Peter Svidler?
Yeah, it's. I thought I knew where you're going with this, where you were going with this, and then you struck me with that bit of news, and now I'm almost speechless, although obviously not entirely. I'm not sure if there's any point to continue, but continue we shall. And yeah, a somewhat unique situation of a Norway chess round which does not feature Magnus Carlsen today.
Is this the first Norway chess round ever to not feature Magnus Carlsen?
I would assume as much, yeah.
Me too. The good news is Dutch Defender is in the chat. So we're not all alone. And we also do have 4 games in this tournament. That is still wide open, is it not?
Yeah, and the tournament situation could not be more exciting. Magnus only has 2 games to go. They are against the 2 people who in absence of any other terms you can use, should probably call tailenders, but they are Mamedyarov and MVL, so they are very, very specific kind of tailenders, averaging 2800 ELO and so on. And he is tied on +1 by Wesley, and 5 people are on 50%, or 5 people are on 50%, which means that if Wesley doesn't win, and there are some decisive games featuring other players, we could have a 3 or potentially even, let's say, 4-way tie at the top going into the final 2 rounds. Potential for huge pile-ups at the top now that the entire field is so closely bunched together.
Absolument. No one's really out of contention except for Liren.
Yeah.
And Mamedyarov, he's been aching the whole tournament. Maybe he feels better now and he can make a late push. But he hasn't felt like the Mamedyarov of 2017 or of the candidates so far. Maybe.
Yeah, clearly, the problems he encountered sort of in the run-up to the tournament have impacted his play, and he took a while to get back to some sort of normalcy, but obviously had a disappointing start and is yet to win a game. But that actually applies to a number of people in this tournament. He lost a game, but quite a lot of people have not won a game yet, as you can see from the cross table in front of you. Vichy has drawn all his games, Hikaru has drawn all his games, and MVL and Shah are on -1 with no wins.
Liren is not really on 0 out of 0. He was on 1.5 out of 3, but after he fractured his hip, he had to withdraw from the tournament. So his games will not be counted. And in a way, that was sort of lucky for the organizers, of course, bearing such a bad accident, in that it doesn't affect the final outcome all that much. Everybody gets 4 whites, 4 blacks. Everybody, yeah. No one had beaten Liren, so no one has a competitive disadvantage from that. Therefore, yeah. Given circumstances,
Yeah.
it could have been worse.
In that respect, yeah, they somewhat lucked out. And once again, we want to repeat that we obviously wish him the speediest recovery. I assume he's
Absolutely.
back in China, and I would go. Although actually,
I don't know. Are you supposed to travel with that?
yeah, with that
hip?
injury, I'm sure the Norwegian organizers were more than happy to let him stay for as long as he needed to stay. So yeah, I don't know why I said that. It's arguably staying put and just recovering for, let's say, a week would be a wiser course of action for him.
I have no intel on that. Maybe someone can let us know. Where's Ding at? As for today's games, the one I'm looking forward to is the All-American Clash. Hang on. My camera says this is Caruana Nakamura, but those aren't Caruana Nakamura. You can't fool
Fake news.
fake text. There we are. Fabi once again sporting. Is that the same shirt? I keep accusing people of wearing the same shirt all the time. 1e3?
1e3.
That's a Magnus-y sort of move.
Yeah, I think maybe Fabi pointed to the pawn he wanted to move on move 1, but the person doing the first move in the game is perhaps not the most professional of chess players.
Show your face, person.
Or maybe Fabi is having a little bit of fun at everybody's expense there. But yeah, the obviously incredibly important sartorial aspect of this tournament continues to surprise me a little bit, because Fabi seems to have repeated a shirt he's worn very recently, and I'm not even sure he won that game. And Hikaru is doing some kind of navy undershirt under a suit.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole YMCA vibe is not my particular cup of tea, but then again, what do I know?
I think Hikaru has confidently outdressed Fabiano for today's game. And I am not sure Fabiano will be able to make up for that on the chessboard. So he pointed towards his e-pawn and then he corrected and went 1d4. Did he want to stop Hikaru from thinking about 1e4?
All kinds of gamesmanship going on before the first move is even played officially. I'm very surprised by all that.
So d4, c4. Hikaru generally nowadays is a Nimzo Queen's Gambit player. What happened to exciting Hikaru, by the way? Like the King's Gambit, e4, c5, Queen h5, Scholar's Mate player. Where'd he go?
This I don't really miss, but yeah, the King's. I don't know if you actually meant the King's Gambit or the King's Indian.
I meant King's Gambit, but I'm not sure I actually ever played the King's Gambit.
Yeah,
so
but Hikaru's King's Indian I actually do miss, because he was a tremendously exciting King's Indian player, and
he normally beat Kramnik.
He kind of carried the torch for the classical King's Indian among the current top players, and nobody else really did it with any kind of regular. I can't speak English. But regularity probably is the word I was looking for there, but it's a boring word, so why I was looking for it is unclear.
Volume, frequency,
whatever. And yeah, you can sort of understand why he would stop doing all that, because playing King's Indian against people who are preparing against the King's Indian constantly is a tricky proposition, and he wasn't always successful. But yeah, those were the more exciting times for us watchers.
So the position on the board is not the position that I had on our screen here briefly. I'm not sure if they're correcting it. No, they didn't play d4, knight f6, c4. They're playing this English line with... I'll do it manually as long as I can see it. Which I had recently in Bundesliga, and which I've been talking about in opening clinics and other nonsense. I think you also have had experiences.
I played this with white, and I'm yet to actually achieve what I was kind of always setting out to achieve in this line, which is d4, e5. And Fabi hasn't even played d4. I believe he played bishop d3 here.
I didn't go knight f3 first?
No, I think he started with bishop d3 actually.
So he's acknowledging if you go knight f3 or d4, nowadays b6 is a serious headache for white, which is what I did in my game as well. And more prominently, Ding did against Levon recently. Even d4, b6 is fine. So
yeah, this is, for instance, my game against Ding in Palma. And
I'll go here.
Yeah.
And if you go b6, I'll go here.
Yeah, bishop b4 would be a smart move in this position. Obviously, it doesn't win, but it kind of hampers black's development. I believe Hikaru replied with knight d7, and knight f3 was played against that. And the bishop is already on c2, but I'm not sure what was played after knight f3. We should
knight e5, I guess.
But then
this is a position I've seen. At least knight f3, knight c6, bishop d3.
The movement looked like bishop c2 though, and it doesn't appear to be anything on e5. So maybe we could zoom in for a second and then we can figure it out, because I don't think it's knight e5.
Zoom.
I think it's actually
c6,
b6.
No?
Oh no, is the knight on c6 actually? Yeah, maybe the knight is on c6. Yeah, this is not the best shot for us to figure out where the pieces are.
Hang on, I have more angles. Don't you worry.
Ah, maybe he went bishop d7, knight f3, bishop c6, bishop c2. That makes sense, because there is definitely something on c6, but he's reaching, I think, to take on c3, which would explain a number of things, and I think it may have been.
These are not the angles.
It may have been updated on our screens there, so we can stop. Yeah, 97 was I was mistaken about 97. He played bishop d7.
Whoa, bishop d7. Interesnia.
And yeah, knight f3, bishop c6, bishop c2 has been played, and everything got traded off on f3. So a weird kind of an endgame by move 10.
But this is normally something that white might be willing to play.
Yeah,
no?
yeah, no, these are...
Because I know this line, which is sort of similar. And here you can take, but this is not your very first choice. And there's also some other endgames along these veins where white, has bishops.
Yeah, and they're playing a version of the same, and black generally shouldn't be that unhappy about these positions because he has a very solid pawn structure, no weaknesses, and white does have a somewhat ruined pawn structure there. But the bishops are the bishops, of course, and Fabi also is quite clearly not doing this unprepared. So he must believe that white has chances for something here.
I'm more surprised that Hikaru was not caught off guard by this bishop d3. It seems like all the top players have had a close look at this. And Hikaru clearly came prepared for this, at least to me. New move.
Yeah, this is a little bit curious, but people do work on chess. Yeah, I don't know why, or yeah.
Maybe to get better at it, or to keep
yeah,
the level.
that could be an explanation, but.
Alright, so we have that straight to an endgame with the funky pawn structure. I'd take white, but clearly both sides know what they're doing here. Then in MVL versus Vichy.
Oh, I haven't seen Vichy do this very
here.
much. I believe I've seen Vichy do this from the white side a number of times, but not from the black side. This is a...
Here we are.
Yeah. That's a bit of a surprising development for me to see Vichy play the open Spanish with the black pieces, but a lot of people have recently included the open in their repertoire because it seems to be doing particularly well, I think.
I do recall some Vichy games with the open Spanish, like New York 1995 comes to mind.
No, of course he has played it in his career, but I don't believe he has played it recently. I think he played a game with the white on the white side of the open in Vike, maybe against Anish,
Maybe.
but not on the as far as I can remember, not on the black side for a while. I mean, I famously played he played an open Spanish against me in the Madrid closed tournament in 90 whatever it was 6, I want to say. The famous game where I thought for 20 minutes and offered a draw in a position where I had mate in 21.
Okay, but you only thought for 20 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
given it one more minute.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
was
human speed.
that was obviously what went wrong there. I did not spend all of my remaining time in the third time control to dwell on things. But yeah, that wound still festers. I would venture to say.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
So d bishop e6, I've seen some people start with c3 nowadays. Why do they do that and not good old knight b2 first?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they want to avoid knight c5, c3. Nobody
plays
really,
that.
nobody plays that anymore. Yeah, I'm confused as to why this move order has become popular.
We'll see what Maxime has in mind. I think at some point I figured out the difference, but it's nothing I've spent a lot of time working on. Alright, so theory debate here. Vichy lost his last game to Maxime in Grandmaster Chess, where he went for some slightly shady for his standards, Paul Taimanov. And, well, I shouldn't say slightly shady, but he hasn't been much of a Taimanov player. And it seems like today he surprises MVL with a new opening. Mamedyarov Wesley, so the good old Catalan main line. We've seen this one once or twice.
Yeah, in this tournament, I think not as much as in the candidates, but the candidates featured a reasonably large volume of discussion in the classical mainline Catalan.
Yeah, at least of this position where they famously played. B6, C6, and A6 on the candidates. Here, yeah. I've been critical of Mamedyarov for playing too many queen c2 Nimzos, so I guess I shouldn't criticize him when he switches it up. Then again, he's quite predictable in the Catalan too. Just as I'm saying this, he goes for rook d1, bit of a sideline, instead of the main move, queen takes c4.
I think Grishuk was, rook d1, bishop 6, bishop g5. I believe it was introduced into a sort of recent high-level Grandmaster practice by Grishuk some years back. But as far as I can remember, he didn't catch on, too much. People have been repeating this, but not to the extent that I expected it to happen, because it did seem like an interesting way to avoid the lines that everybody is playing and do something slightly more interesting.
Yeah, can't say I'm very familiar with bishop g5. This is a line, this much I know, which is supposed to be equal, but there are certainly some subtleties involved with this bishop g5 or a5. But starting with this, I think we've had the same conversation before. Yeah, I'm confused. So you go b5 here, or what do you do? What's the trick?
I'm not sure. There was also a recent game which... Was it in Shamkir that there was a game that both players played really, really quickly, and by move 20 there were no pieces left?
Doesn't sound like Shamkir.
Yeah, obviously not, but I thought there was a... Yeah, then maybe...
I'm just looking at the opening tree. What has happened in bishop g5 here?
Yeah,
some games.
Exactly.
Shigiri, that the one?
Yeah, the Shigiri is the one I was thinking of. And that seemed like they were both aiming for 4. Via a slightly different move order, because Wojtaszek started with bishop g5 and then played rook g1, but it's the same position. And after b5, he took on f6 and played knight c3, but Anish
knows stuff.
Yeah, Anish was completely unsurprised by all these developments. And
I've seen this. Very forced business.
It looked like none of these moves were particularly easy to understand, but they were all blitzed out, which you have to assume that both of them kind of knew that this is equal, but Radek wanted to check if Anish knows. But Anish knows.
Those are two of my favorite theoreticians, Wojtaszek, Giri. But yeah, they know stuff.
And the game was sort of completely equal by move 20, and not very many pieces remained on the board.
So Wesley, who I'm sure he's also a big theoretician, knows all this as well, is now wondering, where does Schach want to ambush me along that line?
Exactly. This is when somebody repeats a line which very recently at a very high level has been sort of shown to not give much of anything at all. Your first thought is, let me try and figure out exactly what awaits me if I just blindly repeat the moves that people have made before me.
And Lorenz Trent, the one I respect, the Lorenz Trent that is spelled with a Z and T-R-E-N-D, is saying in the chat, "Hi, I have a chess lesson now. We're watching the broadcast, me and my young students. So are you saying you're getting paid for watching this show?" That sounds like a fantastic gig.
Yeah, I think this is, we approve of that particular allocation of resources.
Nicely done, Lorenz Trent.
And Gustav Chatterjee says, didn't So crush Shong in this line? And that was the game I was trying to remember. But that I think is in the knight c3 line. In that position you described after bishop takes f3 and knight c6. But if you haven't seen that game, and once again, I'm not entirely sure about the move order, but it is possible just to search for the game between Shong and So. If you haven't seen that game, look it up. It really is one of the more brilliant sort of tactical games of the recent couple of years, including some stunningly unobvious quiet moves after sacrificing a ton of material.
Did Wesley know all this, or did he find it over the board?
No, I think he had to play reasonably early on because Jeffrey kind of either didn't know or decided to dodge the most obvious equalizing continuations, and they had a very fighting but non-theoretical position, I think, from move 15.
Check it out. Wesley's so pretty good at chess, co-leader of this tournament. Defeated Magnus Carlsen the other day. Lost in thought here. Well, as I said, he certainly knows about this move and also has a repertoire here, but he's wondering, why is Schach repeating this? Does Schach just want to make a draw and test if I know this? Does he have a big idea? What's going on? What have we not seen? We haven't seen Kayakin Aronian, even though this position I've seen in the past.
This shouldn't be anything special, right, for white?
Well, Levon has experience with this from both sides of the board, so if he keeps going here, he probably believes that it's nothing much. It's one of the more popular lines of the Ragozin, 5 bishop g5, not allowing the crazier lines after, let's say, well, I'm not sure how crazy they are, but after CD, ED recently, there's been a lot of action Levon has played, stuff like this, and just things can get very sharp. So bishop g5 always considered a little more solid. And the candidates, they had this position, and Aronian won with black after going for d takes c4, transposing to the Vienna. This time around he's saying, nope, I'm not gonna do this to you twice. Let's discuss this line. Yeah, all kinds of stuff here, but the line they chose, e3, castles. The old days everybody took, takes, and we did whatever, bishop e2. But basically after bishop e6, a6, black is fine. So this is sort of a little wrinkle, angle, whatever. But I thought black had more or less solved his problems here as well.
Yeah, I'm not even sure exactly what those problems are in positions like this, and
well, you can be slightly worse because of le structure.
well, but to my eyes, this is in particular, like, if you consider how the game will very likely develop from here.
Rook f8, queen a3, queen e7?
Yeah, this already has been played.
Oh.
This is like your typical Grunfeld endgame, but you haven't even played g6. Therefore, you have far fewer potential weaknesses on the king side to exploit. Because in the bishop e3 endgames, you get structures like this very often in the bishop e3 Grunfeld. But there, white at some point starts pushing on the king side, playing h4, g4, creating a serious positional threat of g4, g5, fixing your kingside structure on the light squares. When your pawn is on g7, all of these things I think are a lot less potent. And
they're also following a previous game by Levon Aronian with the black pieces against none other than the Republic of Shankland. Sam Shankland with the white pieces did not manage to win this against Levon Aronian, which goes to tell us that black has to be very solid here.
yeah, and seemingly the only two games that reach this position all feature very, very strong players. There's the Shankland-Aronian game you mentioned, and there's also a game between David Navarra and Wesley So. So this is not a very popular position, but it's only been played at the very highest level up to now, at least according to our in-house database.
We'll see what Kayakin decides on. Shankland went for queen b2. Monsieur Navarra took. Does seem like this line is not news to Levon Aronian. So, what do we do? Shall we just go home? I believe this is it.
Not quite. Not quite. Although, in this one, yeah, it doesn't feel like Sergei is aiming at, the refutation of the Rogozin today. And Westwooder says Magnus watching up on the Slav exchange today. Magnus actually, from the pictures we've seen on Twitter, is in the studio of the Norwegian TV channel, which covers the tournament, doing some stand-in host duties, which is, very good of him in terms of media professionalism, so to speak, and helping with the promotion of the tournament. But still slightly surprising. It is a rest day, and he could have spent it doing, well, whatever he pleased, basically, and
Our viewership just went down from 7 to 4. Our 3 Norwegian viewers have now left.
Yeah, he may have left the studio by this point, said I, desperately scrambling to save our flagging figures. But we have seen some pictures.
All right. I still know nothing about the Open Spanish, so it's all.
I think I can start maybe recalling something, because like the most obvious move in this position would be knight c5, but I think white replies by playing knight g4, and these lines are. Yeah,
well, this I've seen. Yeah, some knight.
Yeah, this is a transposition. I've had this on the board myself. I won a reasonably nice game against Emil Sutovsky from this line in one of the Euro clubs some time ago, and I also. I mean, Sutovsky played knight takes b3, and I think he played maybe a5, I want to say, but I'm not sure. There's also, I think maybe there was a recent game between Motylev and Maxim Matlakov, in which black just gave up this pawn immediately. Knight takes b3. c5 is not a move that is completely pointless either. You can sort of go for, at least attempt an immediate equality. dc, I think you go probably g4, knight g4, bishop c5. I think it kind of transposes to similar things. It's not a winning attempt by any means, and here, yeah, we take on d1, we go fe, and we say your f2 pawn is kind of slightly awkward to protect, and we're not really suffering very much. But obviously, this is a bailout attempt, and knight d3 is more of an attempt to get double-edged play. Rook e3. There is knight c1 is possible. Also, somewhat surprisingly, knight f4 is not completely ridiculous here. It looks a bit weird to continue jumping, but black basically says it will be very hard for you to stop c5, and if you do allow me to play c5, I will have very, very decent counterplay. And yeah, this leads to very, very sharp tactical positions. And yeah, rook c3. Yeah, I think there are some share of games in which this this exchange gets offered at some point, like rook c3, c5.
Take it?
No. I think you give it up on c2, like dc, and then if d4 you go rook f3. But if we'll have to look it up. But I'm pretty sure there are some positions here where this rook at some point gets offered for maybe the e6 bishop, in order to preserve the pawns on c5 and e5. But I'm currently struggling to recall the correct move order for all these things to happen. And of course, in the position they have on the board, knight c5 is not the only move. You can also go knight takes d2 and claim that, you know, nothing really bad has happened to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, obviously via a slightly weird move order, this is a very, very well-known theoretical position, and options are available to black. The two most obvious ones being take on d2 and knight c5. And
Vichy is weighing those very options. I like Vichy's shirt today.
Yeah, this time we approve. In the game between Shah and Wesley decided that he doesn't believe Shah suddenly refuted this variation from the white side, and he might as well just play b5 and continue following Anish's recipes. And so far, they're still progressing merrily along the lines of the game between Radek and Anish. Queen e8 is what Anish played here.
I trust Anish.
Yeah, I think it's a very safe bet in positions like this to just assume that Anish has done his homework properly, and
it's also a fairly safe bet that Wesley has done his homework as well.
Sure.
The Dark Lord Cthulhu is saying, the Dark Lord part, I mean. Cthulhu is saying, I'm surprised Anand opted for the Open Spanish after the memorable game he lost versus Kasparov. during their 1995 World Championship match.
Theory sort of moved on since then, and the line that Kasparov used to beat Vichy is it is possible not to repeat that game if you're black in the open.
I also think if you lose a game in some line, you should only bend that line for like 22 years. I think after that, it's okay.
Yeah. And 95-94 already on the board as somewhat predicted, and we'll see what Vichy thinks about this line. This was a reasonably critical line at one point. There was a serious amount of traffic in it.
Baby Knight is saying, even Jan's shirt is nice today. Suits him well. Thank you so much. But you know how I operate. I will take your compliment as an insult to all my previous shirts. So how dare you? That's just how my mind works. I can't say thank you. But it's very warm in Hamburg again. We've managed to weather the weather crisis of the last 2 days. We're back to perfect weather.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not perfect streaming weather.
I was even allowed by the management sort of tentatively to wear a polo as well today, but my polo today for some reason was green, which led to interesting clashes with the green screen behind us, so...
Say no more. Green? This is how the studio really looks.
Yup.
And I want it to look like this, but I can never get a majority.
Yeah, I'm always very much in favor of this particular look, but people start complaining way too early, I believe.
It's upsetting. Anyway, no more funny business. I apologize. Fabi. Dr. Fabi thinking? Where's Fabi at?
Fabi took an inordinate amount of time, I think, to play Rook B1, which is a move you would make instantaneously in a blitz game. I think he's trying to figure out... I mean, it's not really about Rook B1. It is about how he's planning to meet, let's say, long castles, which I assume to be the most natural reply to Rook B1.
Yup.
There is also Rook B8, but Rook B8 looks weird. I think you just castle here.
F. Bianca L is asking, Jan Peter, what do you think about the Rogozin? At the highest level, it seems to be pretty popular. Is it suitable for club players? I think it's absolutely suitable. It's a very natural yet exciting enough opening. I think, yeah.
No, it's and also very importantly, I believe it stands quite well right now. But the one potential issue people might have with it is that you will be expected to know what you're doing in a reasonably large amount of line. I don't think it's an opening you can play by feel. At least in the more forcing lines starting with cd5, e5, bishop g5. The position Sergey and Levon are discussing today, that position you can probably just base your moves on your understanding and just expect not to do much wrong. But there are definitely some corners of the Rogozin where you will be expected to actually do some homework.
Nah, you'll be fine. Just go here and, put the bishop out. Only tests queen b3. You take. If they take with the queen, you just say, haha, I got my bishop out, and develop.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, actually.
So they have to do this, and now I think you just give them the pawn and say, how dare you? Something along those lines.
Yeah, perhaps holding the how dare you until you actually completely equalize.
Nah, you're fine there already in the position I showed.
Sure, but very few people can actually wear the how dare you look properly, and Jan is obviously one of them. But
No, I'm not, but Hikaru is one of them. Hikaru's given us plenty of how dare yous in this tournament. How dare you continue playing this position against me? How dare you play this line against me? Hikaru's great.
Yeah, that's all very true. And Schach has finally deviated from Radek's play, and I expected this, because d5, I think it would be very difficult to prove anything there. Radek kind of tested the most forcing continuation, and that's a draw. But e4 doesn't create any immediate threats. But it's not that easy for black to make a move here. Because knight d7 more or less, I think, loses to e5, knight g5. Like, this is the move you would most like to make, completing your development. But I think this is pretty much game over, because black's queen side just collapses here. And I thought maybe e4, b4 is what black is planning here, with the intention of meeting knight e2 with b3. But after e4, b4, there is also e5 in this position, which was bothering me more than a little bit. I don't know what is stronger, but like these things would need to be assessed very carefully.
So I go.
Knight e4. I was wondering if this is a better square than e2. It
Yeah,
does
it
allow
could be
black.
a move by move
Yeah.
thing where it depends if I can, you know, free.
Yeah,
myself.
allowing bishop d5 is the one major drawback of this, of course. But
Do I get checkmated? I normally dislike getting checkmated.
yeah, this might actually force g6, and then yeah, it's a bit scary. Knight f6 check is a serious move there. Who knows? And Shah is playing fast enough to suspect that he might have something to say about these things. And of course, b4 doesn't force e5. You can also go knight e2, b3, queen b1, and say that yeah, okay, why is this so much progress for you?
So Shah came prepared.
Yeah, I mean he has been doing that more with the black pieces recently, but even with the white pieces, it did feel like
He does come prepared. He just
Yeah.
often gets neutralized.
yeah. The issue is more than the stuff he has prepared. People still know, because a lot of the top players, in particular, when you speak about the mainline openings, like the Queen C2 Nimzo that we keep on mentioning in connection with Shah's white repertoire, all of these guys are analyzing it a lot, and it's difficult to catch somebody who's been doing it very seriously, and it's very much part of their repertoire. Those guys are not going to be caught unawares by an idea very often.
Big question is Wesley caught unawares? Or does he just think, you know what, pawn up at some point. You gotta play chess anyway. How dangerous can this be?
I wonder if g6 is a move here.
Ugh, how dare you. I'm not sure this how dare you fits though.
The point is not to weaken my bishop on f6 that Jan is so cleverly indicating, but I want to stop all these knight e5, knight g5 tactics, and I want to play.
How do you stop them?
Well, knight g5 will no longer win the game, so let's say I go bishop, I don't know, let's say g7. Well, now that I play g6, I will feel stupid not putting it on g7.
Yeah, knight g5 is indeed not winning.
I think it's a decent sort of prophylactic move against what white is doing. It's a bit slow, but apart from b5, b4, which we weren't really able to refute yet, none of the more obvious moves black has here are very appealing. So I thought, making a move that makes our future decisions a lot simpler by eliminating maybe the biggest tactic white has might be useful here.
Thanks for the insight into the train of thought there. So yeah, we'll see what Wesley comes up with. The good news is that apparently my bat signal has gone up over the Buckeye State, Ohio, where Carl Nering got the news. No Mr. Dodgy today, no Pramo today, no Magnus today. We need you, Carl Nering. And he is up, because it's still pre-noon in the Buckeye State, as I like to call it. Like, the official name is Sunshine State, but we've been through that. And is keeping us company. Boom!
Very proud of myself now.
Congratulations. So, Carl Nering, how you doing? What's happening? LeBron making you sad? And Nikita Petrov is pointing out that g6 has been played. These strong players and their prophylactic thinking, very hard to checkmate them.
Yeah, and Lawrence, in the meantime, is fulfilling a much missed niche by doing predictions. Somewhat cheating the game there by doing predictions after the round has started, but still, fulfilling a very important social function.
Great job.
And he says Fabio will win and everything else will be a draw. I think that may be slightly over-optimistic, or perhaps influenced by Lawrence's personal preferences and his
love for lumberjack shirts.
Yes, that is what I was going with. But not impossible. Although this endgame doesn't really look like it will, produce any fireworks anytime soon.
And can you believe it? Both Wesley and Hikaru have played g6 recently. Maybe the Grunfeld is not such a bad opening after all. They all need to do g6 to think to the bishop. Why Hikaru's g6? He just feels his bishop does not have a better square.
I don't think it's being developed to g7. I think it's once again. Well, the rook that is currently on h1 is very likely to go to g1 at some point. So we just, before committing the bishop anywhere, we just make the moves we're extremely likely to make in any case.
And Lawrence is weighing in. He's saying, I always hated his shirt, actually. I told him years ago how much I hate that shirt. Yeah, I think Lawrence and I have had conversations about this shirt on and off the record. But it does seem like Fabi, there's certain things he sticks to. 1e4. Big checkers.
And Nizahe goes, this is not how chess prediction works, Lawrence. And no one enjoys those references more than I do, obviously. Very nicely played there, Nizahe.
Lawrence is unhappy with Fabian's position now and wants to take his prediction back. Not sure why. What rattled him? Maybe 13 d4?
Hard to say. In the open, Vichy has gone for what I, in my hazy rememberings of the theory of this variation, I did think this was maybe the sharpest line available to black. Welcome news for all of us, because this could be a very interesting game.
All right, let's switch on the Vichy cam. MVL is not taller than Vichy. This is another one of these
posture. Yeah, it's all about the
posture things.
Yeah,
or
Vichy will now
seat adjustment.
Yeah, Vichy will now become taller again when he corrects his posture there.
He's rising to the occasion. And MVL thinking, I guess both guys have a file that contains this position, but most likely MVL did not expect this on the board today. And then sometimes it's not that helpful that you have a file that tells you there are moves in this position if you have not repeated it very often. Even for the best, they don't have the whole repertoire stored in their memory bank at all times.
Sure. I think the point of the black setup is that if white goes knight f3, which is clearly the most obvious move in the position, I think the point is to go bishop g4 and then try for knight e6, and only after that black wants to push c5. I could be wrong about this, but I'm reasonably sure that this is the plan.
If c5, then rook somewhere is awkward, yeah?
Yeah, even g takes is actually potentially a serious problem for black, because bishop takes rook c3 just kind of wins on the spot, attacking both the bishop and the knight.
Easy Rider with some behind-the-scenes information saying Fabi just wears his shirts for years and years. This one is of 1976. He got it from his father. I'm not a doctor, I should say this first.
Are you a professor, though?
I think I have less of a claim than you, and I didn't even trust your claim. So no. But I do know that you were born in the year 1976.
That is very true.
And I do know that you're a much older man, no offense man, than Fabiano. So I question Easy Rider's facts there.
Well, he did say it was his father's shirt, and his father could have worn it in 1976, arguably.
So the shirt was purchased in 1976, is what Easy Rider 27 is saying?
Yeah.
Okay, then I take everything back, and I do believe the story. I've seen his father. He's taller than Fabiano.
That is true.
So...
Although that is not a particularly high bar to clear.
How dare you? That leads us to the next question. Is this shirt maybe a little too big for Fabiano because it used to be his father's shirt? I'm not sure. Actually, it looks like the size is fine.
Yeah, I think it fits him. It fits him rather well size-wise.
This, by the way, is a fashion blog. That's the Endgame for Chess 24. Sebaston 1985 is asking, do you have any kind of title, Jan? I am a chess grandmaster. And I am... No, that's really it. I can't even make up something. I don't even have any self-assigned titles.
And Grandmaster...
Speaking of chess grandmaster,
yeah, Grandmaster-elect Nikita Petrov says h4 in the Mamedyarov saw game seems rather random, and black has to be completely fine if white just goes for positional compensation. I think what Shah is claiming here is that it's very difficult for black to make constructive moves here if white doesn't commit to either e5 or d5 early on. I would still attempt to make knight d7 work, because I think very much depends on whether this is possible or not.
I'm with Nikita. I don't like it when Shah randomly gives a pawn and then tries to make it work. He's played some outrageous gambits over the years. The worst one, maybe this one. He played this against Magnus, dc, e4, b5. Now he just, makes moves. And you can't do that, Shah. Gotta respect those pawns. Guillaume Evel is saying, Germany top 3 guy, not bad. How dare you? Number 2. Not that I'm keeping count and refreshing the German rating list every 5 seconds. I think I'm overdoing the how dare yous today. I apologize.
How dare you? Yeah, what's wrong with knight d7? Let's try and figure this out, Jan. I know you don't want to, but...
No, we have Nikita Petrov for the heavy lifting. He's unbeaten in like 80 tournament games. And he said it's fine.
He did?
Yeah. Who am I to argue?
I missed that. I missed that bit. But... Well, maybe... I mean, we can try winning the b5 pawn back, but it does lead to mass simplifications, which probably should... Considering the fact that black has 2 bishops.
Do you mean this?
Either this, I guess it kind of transposes. I was also wondering if I should include AB, rook a8, queen a8 to make sure you take with the queen. Bishop a8, knight b5 doesn't look... I mean, even that is not that horrible, but...
That's what I'm staring at, but I don't see a trick, so alright, I'll take with the queen.
Yeah, now let's try playing g5. I guess you have to take. I take with the pawn, you go bishop b7, I take on b5.
Bishop c3, dc, you take more pieces than I take.
Yeah, I take easily more pieces than you do. But after bishop b7, knight b5, queen a5, I just don't believe I'm better with white, to be honest.
Could you be worse?
Also probably not, but I don't think black is in any danger here. Seems very, very playable.
I like black's position. But yeah, I guess.
Yeah, just knight c3.
Most likely as it's somehow peters out. Alright.
So yeah, knight d7, I haven't really been able to refute it. Maybe he actually wants something connected with e5 followed by something, but what that something is kind of unclear to me. With the bishop on g7, I think it will be very, very difficult to give mate on the king's side.
Can you just go here and, make another random move.
Yeah, that definitely is another option to sidestep all the e5 tactics in advance, but it feels to me that, if knight d7 is a move you can make, you should be making it. You shouldn't be giving white all the time in the world and saying, I don't believe you can make any progress and I will just improve my position ever so slowly by degrees. Adam Farrell says, have you guys ever seen an inexplicable J.R. Smith type errors in team play? In chess, it's hard to name something that would be as glaring, although I have recently, nowhere near, of this magnitude, I think, because that did seem to be like some kind of a really strange brain fart. I have seen the footage. I don't really understand basketball, but even to my eyes, that seemed weird. And
to sum up, when the score is tight and there's like 4 seconds left, and you have the ball near the basket, it's a good idea to, try to score a basket and not run away.
Yeah, but in the recently concluded Russian clubs, I repeated moves. I was by this point playing on increment, but I did repeat moves in a game against Evgeny Romanov in a match which did not at this point look particularly good. And my position was basically, regardless of what else I did, it was completely risk-free. And I just decided that I don't really understand what's going on and I will just repeat because it does give me a draw. And then I looked up and thought, this is a team competition. I probably should have considered how the match stands. We won the match reasonably comfortably, eventually, as it happened. But I was very, very unhappy with myself the moment I realized what I've done.
Yeah, I've certainly been guilty of cowardice in team competitions often, but normally you more or less know the score. I've had it happen once in a while. Like recently, we played the cup final, and I had a risk-free queen endgame against Philipp Schlosser, so I asked somebody, but not an official, what the score was, because I wasn't completely sure. I was told it's 1.5, 1.5, and I thought, okay, I'll continue, and then I found out that it was actually 2-1 in our favor a little later, which, okay, meant the match was over, so that was good news. But sometimes, yeah, these miscommunications can happen, and kings are placed on the wrong squares for a while. Like normally, kings are supposed to be on e4 and d5 if white wants, so you can find out yourself. But sometimes, yeah, some small things can happen there. But I am not aware, well, obviously of blunders, but of stuff like you think you're up 2-1, but you're really down 2-1, and you make a draw because of that.
Yeah. For it to be comparable to what happened in that game 1, I think it would need to be something really, really strikingly pointless. And those you don't encounter as often as you would think. Bishop g4 played by Vichy in reply to knight f3 in the game between MVL and Vichy, and MVL played h3. I think the point is you continue pinning the knight. I don't think bishop takes f3 is particularly good here, so you go bishop h5 here. And white has, for instance, the option of going rook c3, knight e6, g4. But, optically this looks extremely good for black. The bishop on g6 is a very nice piece in these positions. It will be very difficult for white to get any kind of a play on the king side with, let's say, knight h2 and f4, because c5 is coming sort of post-haste, and also f7, f5, as Jan is indicating, would be a very strong reply to all of that. And yeah, white's pieces seem to be not where they should be in positions like this. So I'll be interested to see exactly what MVL means to do here. He is playing sort of fast enough to suspect he is remembering rather than finding moves over the board, but who knows?
Yeah, clearly he didn't expect his line to show up today. So it seems like Vichy, at least he won the "who looked at this position recently" debate. It's not the only debate.
Probably, yeah.
But it's normally a bit of a thing. Armchair Jam is saying, I found the Ragozin as perhaps the most boring of all time after 4 knights. I cannot understand that statement
Yeah.
at all. I'm with you on the 4 knights. That's a bit of a bane of e4, e5 players' existence, but why you would find the Ragozin as very boring, I can't even...
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't figure out it.
I mean, this current trend of playing bishop f5, knight bd7 cut down on the completely insane lines that I've been seeing, like even like in the middle of this decade when people were playing those absolutely insane positions with c5, c4, and then white gives up his entire queen side and tries to give mate and all of these positions. But first of all, they still exist, and secondly, even bishop f5. If you look at recent Grandmaster practice, there are pawn sacrifices in every second game, and yeah, do not really understand this statement. Knight d7 played by Wesley in our Catalan. So Wesley also decided that g6 is enough preparation. I don't need to waste more tempi on improving my position. Let's finish development and see exactly what my opponent means to do.
And he's also saying, I'm black, I have +1. If you want to regain the pawn and be whatever, slightly worse, then be my guest. And I don't expect Schach to go for. Well, if he has any alternative.
Yeah.
I don't think this is...
I think this is a very relevant. This is a very relevant question or caveat there that there might be nothing else. And once again, since he is quite clearly doing this, this is not something you do over the board. So this is home cooked. And if he knows that g6, knight d7 gives black an advantage, unless you just win the material straight away, he might now bail out. But if there's anything at all else to do, he will do that other thing.
Armchair GM says, I apologize. You shouldn't apologize. You're very entitled to have your chess opinions. I just couldn't understand why you would find the Ragozin so boring.
We were not trying to disparage your expression of free thought. We just disagree quite strongly with it. But yeah, do feel free to say to tell us what you think. We will react, and also please don't take offense at our reactions. And
don't take offense.
Yeah, I generally don't mean any offense when talking about chess.
Fair enough.
I understand this only applies to what I say, but I would still argue that this is a...
Where's Carl Neering for the Cleveland Cavaliers discussion, by the way? Did you leave already, Carl? Are you staying out of this? What's going on? EM Petrov Nikita is bringing up a question. I should say I am at least, right? EM sounds too German. That I've been thinking about. But this, in a way, goes back to the old song of criticizing Mamedyarov's white preparation. What exactly is his preparation? You go for this line. It's very, very likely, because you choose this particular subline, very, very likely that they will follow the recent high-level game, which I'm guessing is also the first computer line. And after e4, which is your novelty, Wesley plays, I'm not sure, maybe this is not the computer move, but a natural move, pointed out by yours truly, Peter Svidler as well. Yours truly, Peter Svidler? I can't speak, but my point is this his preparation? Is he winging it? Was he surprised by g6? What happened there?
Yeah, the 15-minute think after g6 is a bit confusing, as correctly pointed out by somebody in chat already. But yeah, I mean, how do you prepare e4 and not analyze g6? Because I mean, if it occurred to me in the first 2 minutes of looking at the position, it should occur to you.
Let's see if it's a computer move, because if not, then you can always say, but yeah, it is a computer move. Then it does make sense. It's the first computer line. Sometimes there are these weird spots in Mamedyarov's opening still, because Wesley, this is what he does. He plays for the main line. So you had okay, with hindsight it's easy to say, but I would guess 50% chance to get this position today. So it's a bit confusing to me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what transpires, and MVL I guess just disagrees with my assessment, and I've revised it myself a little bit, because after bishop e3, it seems like white has actually controlled the c5, d5, d4 counterplay reasonably well, and also rook c1 followed by rook c6 is a very strong positional idea here.
On f5 there's some rook c6, which could be asking questions or not, queen d7.
No, but also just take on f6 and
How do we recapture bishop?
Well, you don't want to allow knight e5, I think, so it probably is the bishop. Let's go rook c6 here. Queen d7, rook ac1, and say that we are kind of, even the immediate knight e5 might be quite interesting. Yeah. So white is a lot more in control here than I originally supposed.
Okay.
Still a very unclear position. I'm not, revising my assessment to suddenly to white is much better, but I thought black was just already fighting for advantage. This may have been over-optimistic. Peter Jan, have you played in such asymmetric tournaments before with players having rest days? No, this happened very, very rarely. I can't off the top of my head recall another tournament with the odd number of players. For that to happen, somebody actually does have to withdraw, and we've covered that topic in one of the previous shows. Withdrawals are not a normal thing because you have to actually have very, very serious, generally medical reasons to withdraw from the tournament.
Yeah. Chess players might not have the toughest reputation, but they won't withdraw because of a flu.
Yeah.
So, yeah, normally. Something serious has to happen, it doesn't that often. It's quite common, in team tournaments, though, that you have rest days when the rest of the field doesn't, and so on and so forth. So.
No, but that's slightly different, yeah. And as for chess players and toughness and flus, yeah, I remember Evgeny Bareyev played the entire Vike with pneumonia. Reasonably successfully hiding it from his competition and not even doing completely horribly, although he didn't do well. Pneumonia is not a thing to be taken lightly, but I don't think he considered withdrawing. He just kept on showing up, playing like in scarves and kind of coughing a little bit. But
I've corrected this in the past, but it's played the entire week with pneumonia, not the entire week. So yeah, this is more like the old Mamedyarov. Like, still fantastic player, but sort of, pawned down with white, and we're not quite sure where he's going with this.
Yeah.
Here, I don't understand who's better than white, but you've just explained the intricacies. Dr. Fabi.
Yeah, these I've tried figuring out what's happening in endgames like this before, because they do appear somewhat regularly in this line when white doesn't go for the most direct moves early on, like 7d4 probably doesn't allow them very much, but they do sometimes occur, and yeah, it's difficult to understand, because on the surface of it, black should be doing really, really well, because it doesn't feel like the two bishops have too much freedom to roam here, and there are no targets to play against immediately, but
White also has a bunch of pawns in the center, no? I understand black is solid, but one day they could move.
No, exactly. Yeah. The moment you try to formulate a sensible constructive plan for black, you realize it really isn't that easy to figure out where these pieces belong.
Well, white has plenty of stuff to do, no? Bishop e3, bishop e4, put some rooks
I
on
think
the b
bishop
file.
e4 probably gets
Go
met
F5,
by
right?
f5 more or less immediately in most cases, yeah. Although then you can, in some cases, maybe make an argument for taking and then quite quickly trying to double on the b file and invade. But whether you will have time to do all that is the big question here. Black will have e6, e5 type counterplay here quite fast. Like rook d8 here immediately, maybe followed by e5. Could be something you could try doing. Yeah, interesting and very unclear position, considering how much material has gone off by move 10. Has come off, but yeah, still an intricate endgame which could go either way, and yeah, we'll see. Shah does take on b5 after some thought, and that I think signals that the line we were discussing is very likely to appear, because you don't offer black additional rook trades in this position. Actually getting his pieces to better squares, because the queen on a8 is a very, very good piece for black if you don't meet it with d5 immediately before it becomes a threat.
Since Wesley is thinking, do you believe he's considering this?
No, I don't think he's at the board. Ah, he is at the... No, why is he? Yeah, sorry, I should have looked up. No, I think he's trying to figure out if he's losing when he takes with the pawn.
Right.
You just take another 30 seconds to make sure that you're not blundering something very, very simple which collects your entire chess set. But you never ever take on b5 unless ab5 loses.
And Mr. Dodgy is joining us. Should we be happy he's here, or should we just be hurt? He wasn't here when the show began.
I think we can do both. Maybe
Really?
alternatively, or
That's
even...
not how I operate. I did tweet about you, Mr. Dodgy. That's how much we missed you. We had a meeting, like 6-hour meeting earlier today, if we should do the show without Pramod, without Magnus Carlsen, without Mr. Dodgy. In that order, before you get too high on your horse. We decided to do it, but to sort of mail it in.
Yeah, that's exactly how these meetings go. I don't know why you're telling this to people. These are very, very important trade secrets, but...
It's true. I was also really tired after the 6 hours of discussion, so even if we decided to give any effort, I'm not physically able to anymore.
Yeah.
A5?
Yeah, I'm curious, because what do you gain if white plays a4? And white probably does play a4 here, I feel. The idea of this move, obviously, if white does not react, you can play b4, and then with the bishop on c2, perhaps in that split second you will have some counterplay connected with c5, because the rook will not be able... the rooks on the c file will not be connected, but even that is not immediately obvious. But mainly I'm not quite sure. Maybe he just wants to take on a4. Maybe that's his point. a4, ba4. Bishop takes a4, rook b8, some kind of, hoping for some counterplay along the b file. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Possible.
Because b4, rook c6 seems to be completely counterproductive to me. You've actually sort of locked down some of your own counterplay by doing this.
In the chat, Armchair GM is reporting about meeting Wesley in the Minneapolis Chess Club. And Wesley was a nice guy. And Bram van Einatten is saying, I'm also an amazing chess player to meet. I'm paraphrasing.
Okay. And Guillaume FL is an early front runner for a ban today with the question of, who is this Pramod?
Wow.
How dare you?
This is very well deserved. How dare you? Guillaume FL has also been around. It's not his first rodeo.
Yeah, this is very, very confusing to me. That question, I mean, in the context of this website, this question does not make sense at all, and yeah, I'm very confused.
Where's the moderator when you need them? Okay.
Let's not overdo this today.
Just joking.
Yeah, we've seen this position. They have actually followed the line we said could be quite critical. Queen a5 is the most obvious move in the position, because of the 2 pawns black has on the c file, the one on c7 is the one that matters. If white wins that one, you could be in some trouble. And also, obviously, there's a tactical justification of not allowing queen takes c4 follow, because bishop a6 wins material.
Okay, this so far was fun and games, but now I think the ban hammer is coming out, because Spills, who's been a nice guy so far, is saying, who is Pramod, misspelling Pramod. This is too much, Spills. Come on.
Yeah.
Did you do that on purpose?
Have some respect.
Put some respect on your name. Or on Pramod's name.
Yeah, queen a5, very logical. There's probably some other moves black can make here as well, but none really feel as strong as Queen A5 at first glance, or even second glance, frankly.
Third glance?
Yeah, I never do the third glance.
Wow. So here, what do we do? Bishop A6?
Bishop A6 wins material.
We win?
Yeah, because Queen C7, Queen B5, Bishop F1 would be a clever try, if not for the fact that Queen B3 collects everything.
The rook.
Yeah. Queen B3 just collects absolutely everything. So yeah, you cannot take on C4, which means that you probably have to go back to C3. Even bishop takes C3 is a move you could consider in this position with probably immediate equality, and the question is whether black has anything stronger.
And Spills is saying, I'm a bad speller. I don't know, man. This is... No, maybe it's yellow card territory.
Yeah.
But we'll keep a very close eye on your spelling of Pramod and Pramod NVS.
Yes.
From now on.
And Rayleigh is asking how many challenges do you normally have during a banter blitz, and he says that he only recently became a premium and challenged me, one of us anyway, yesterday, and did not get a game. It's impossible to go through all the challenges we get through at any given banter. There's just no. I mean, if you play for 6 hours, maybe, but in a 2.5 hour banter session, I get through maybe 1/3 of my challenges, at best. So yeah, apologies for not getting a game, but there is never any guarantee.
Stick around though, really. I make a priority of playing.
Yeah, always.
People have never played before,
Exactly,
so I'm
yeah.
sure we'll play you one day.
Exactly, yeah. Whenever I see a new nickname, I generally prioritize those because...
Easy Rider 27 is saying today it's Jan and Peter and Pramod. No, Pramod's not here. That's the big problem.
Yeah. And Jan spelled like this has just tied for second, third in the Poikovsky tournament. And congratulations to Dmitry Yakovenko, who convincingly won it with +4.
So what was the table? Yakovenko won.
Yakovenko first.
Second?
No, yeah, and Jan also, a very nice side for my eyes. Jan tied second, third with Boris. Boris hasn't had the best run recently, but he played really well in Poikovsky. He lost in round 1 to Jan, and then won 4 games in the remaining 8, playing some very fresh, some very interesting chess. And I really like Boris, and I want him to do well generally.
Who else was there?
I think Vidit finished on +1, Fedoseev and somebody else was on 50%, and Bologan had an absolute nightmare. He was on half out of 8.
Oh, wow.
And beat Emil Sotovsky in the last round. And Emil also didn't have a particularly good tournament. I think he won in the first round and scored 1.5 out of the next 8 games.
That's rough.
Yeah, so basically the entire field kind of preyed on Emil and Victor, and Dmitry ended up the clear winner. Very, very strong field, and also extremely bloodthirsty field there, because most rounds featured more than 50% of decisive games, I think.
Mm-hmm. Nightwish is telling you repeatedly, Peter, you are really a great commentator, but in my opinion, you should compete in a tournament like this instead of commenting. You are such a great player.
Why aren't you an organizer, though? I would not decline this invitation, trust me on this, Nightwish. However, considering what this field looks like, if I did get an invitation, it would have been some kind of a weird fluke. I don't know, an email where they mistyped the address of the person they were sending an invitation to, or some sort of a mishap like that.
Great player, great commentator, and so humble. Can we find any weaknesses?
I've just explained my weakness. Yeah, not strong enough for this tournament. Anyway, thanks for the kind words, but in this field, there's really no surprise. I'm here and not there. Also, I'm arguably enjoying myself more here than I would being there and getting pummeled by these people.
Mr. Dodgy is saying, Jan, you also should play in this tournament. Thank you, Mr. Dodgy. That means a lot, especially coming from you. I appreciate it. And I agree. Like, I'm almost Norwegian. Come on. If Hammer keeps complaining about this, why can't I? Does he keep complaining about this? I don't have facts on this.
No, I think Jan Ludwig is quite happy in the studio, doing punditry work.
Same here. Mattress Chess Guy is saying, what class did you play in WoW? I guess that means World of Warcraft, Jan.
Yeah.
Disc Priest reporting in.
This is horribly misaddressed.
Is this question for you?
This is horribly misaddressed, but I also don't play WoW, so it's even more misaddressed than normal. Yeah, there are no WoW players here. A WoW player tied for second in Boykovsky, but there are none in this studio.
I actually played some. What's this called? Not World of Warcraft, but like some earlier version when, like 10 years ago. What did we play? Warcraft? Nah, probably more like 15 years ago.
No, but
Warcraft 3 maybe, something like that?
Sure, but these are not...
it's a different thing, yeah?
Yeah, this is not the MMORGs. These are RTSs.
No, but you could choose like one or four... what's the word?
Races, I think.
Races?
I think they are races.
I didn't like the bad guys. Or maybe there were no bad guys, maybe I misunderstood.
For the Horde.
The ghouls.
No, they're orcs.
The orcs?
So you played for the Alliance.
No, I didn't like those either.
So who did you... Come on, it's
Wasn't there 4 options?
I think it's either for the Horde or for the Alliance, and... If you didn't like the bad guys, you probably played for the Alliance.
That's what these little woodpeckers would say, right?
Possibly, yeah.
See, I'm highly informed on all the latest happening in computer games. If you had any questions about Fortnite, I won't be able to answer them.
Yeah, fork knife.
Fork knives. Perpetual Stalemate is saying you made it clear you prefer mixed fields when you said Jan should be here. It's very hurtful. Perpetual Stalemate, I am male.
In an attempt to bring us back to the actual game of chess, Nizahe says that even bishop takes d5 is possible in the current position, but I think it's a very difficult move to even force yourself to play when queen a5 is so clearly fine for black. This endgame, rook a8 is a curious move because I don't really understand what is being gained by luring the bishop to a6. Maybe b6, b5 becomes a threat though. Maybe he is hinting at the fact that if the bishop doesn't go back, it might be in trouble after b5, rook b6.
There you go, Gallican says it was orcs, humans, undead, and some kind of elves.
Blood elves. So blood elves are Horde and night elves are Alliance.
Alejandro Ramirez filling in with some proper nerd education there.
Well, I think he played for no played. I mean, I don't know why you chose this. I think he worked for Blizzard for a bit, didn't you, Alejandro? That is unbelievable street cred in my eyes.
We have very different definitions of street cred.
Yeah, you don't live on our street.
I live on A Street. Actually, sort of second row.
Anyway, so arguably this could be rook a8 could be even
we're still talking about this.
A bit of a hidden draw for because allowing c5 with the rook still on c8 feels like it should make black's life a lot easier. You want to be able to take on c5 and force black to take with the pawn on c5, so you go bishop a6 here, and after rook b8 you realize that the bishop cannot stay there, so you go back to e2. But yeah, Sergei is not interested in that life, so he goes knight d3 there.
Little Pazan is saying, I did work for Blizzard for a bit, for Diablo 3 though. Why have a Danish flag is a great question. I think I know why it's a Danish flag. Normally you get assigned the flag of the country you first sign up from, and then you can probably change it, but I'm not sure how you do that. As for Diablo 3, what is that?
I did play Diablo 3.
I'm not surprised, but could you still tell us what it is?
It's yeah, I'm not sure what this class of games is called. It's Diablo 1 was the first one with the, I want to say, hexagonal it it's a slasher, but it's a slasher with the elements of RPGs and the type of view you get, because they're normally either first person or yeah, I don't know the proper terms for it, but Diablo 1 was a revolutionary game in terms of the engine it used.
RPG means role player game?
Yes.
Okay. That's like Dungeons and Dragons?
There are, I mean, D&D is a
D&D means Dungeons and Dragons?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think
Making sure I'm following.
yeah. And this kind of ages me quite well because I played Diablo 1 and I played Diablo 3. I missed Diablo 2 because that was during a period where I decided I don't want to play video games anymore. And at some point I wanted to kind of check my memory.
How does that age you quite well? So you're saying you played video games from 10 till 25, then you took a break from like, 25 till 27, and like then you're back?
If I asked you, if I tell you, let's say that Diablo 3 was released, I believe in 2015, and then I ask you to guess when Diablo 1 was released, what would you say?
I would guess 1998.
It's 95, I think. So yeah, there was a largish break between the games there.
Mm-hmm. Was it Alejandro slowing stuff down there?
Isometric, yeah, isometric view. We are being informed by Alejandro. I was not close.
I'm very upset at the whole chat knowing what this is all about.
And developments almost everywhere. Hikaru went with a structure change I did not entirely expect, but this explains why he played g6. He did not want to allow bishop f5 check, which I think is very sensible because bishop f5 check would be very strong in this position. I think this more or less forces white to play d5 actually. Yeah, this would be a very, very strong reply if not for the fact that black prepared against it. And 5e goes bishop g5.
All right.
This is curious.
G5 looks good. No, bishop e7?
Yeah, I think I give this pawn actually. Yeah, I think this probably, although there is maybe nothing very wrong with going, I don't know, rook e8 or rook d7. I like this pawn sacrifice. Takes, d5. I go either knight c6. There is also g6, g5 immediately, but yeah, let's go knight c6, f4, and let's go f6.
Oh, I've been told I can no longer refer to this as the Irish Pawn Center, so I won't.
And now, let's say rook f8 and claim that this structure is so horrible that I should not have too much...
It is slightly blinding.
Yeah, black should not, I think, have too much trouble holding this.
Holding?
No, I mean, I do have f4, f5 in this position. Otherwise, yeah, black would probably be playing for a win, but f4, f5 probably bails out successfully.
All right. They're trying to bring me back to my nerd corner of the woods. Eduardo Zaidan is asking, Jan, what do you think of Bojack Horseman? I do like Bojack Horseman, and that means a lot, because normally I'm not in favor of speaking horses, but it did. I feel I have a lot in common with Bojack Horseman, except for the fame and the money and the boozing and the being a horse thing. Like, I could relate very, very strongly. And I think it's one of the best dramas, I'm not kidding, on television. Some of this stuff is just heart-wrenching. Like Princess Caroline's attempt to get pregnant. And in general, just the Weltschmerz that Bojack Horseman is dealing with and the questions he's facing as a middle-aged horse. What comes after this? Like, it's fantastic. I love Mr. Peanut Butter, and I hate him at the same time, because these light-hearted, like, happy-go-lucky golden retrievers I could never stand. So I think it's a fantastic show.
And Sirke showing some very, very obscure knowledge there, saying Jan has already written a book. I even know what that book is about, but I'm not allowed to mention the word, so I will not. Yeah, I like Archer. I know some people who really dislike Archer for some reason, and they are smart people. But I could never really understand the horrible dislike people have for some people have for Archer.
Yeah, it gets old.
Yeah, it does.
Especially his mom.
It does get repetitive. Well played, sir. It does get repetitive.
Can we stick to chess, please?
Absolutely. Knight d3, knight b7, knight f4 is somewhat surprising to me.
Draw?
Is he really planning to meet c5 with d5? Maybe he is. There's also c5 bishop a6 though, so yeah, that would be a decent explanation for why he is doing that. That's actually kind of awkward for black. Because d5, e5, knight d3, f6 I'd be quite happy with black, I think.
You Grunfeld people would be excited about this, no?
Yeah, but if you include bishop a6 in this position, white would have bishop takes b7, and that's a whole different story when black doesn't have the blockading knight on d6. Also, it's kind of awkward.
Isn't this awkward directly?
Yeah, it's even awkward to make a move. Although probably because there's rook d2 check there in the end, I can still play rook c7. But yeah, I can take and go d5. Yeah, and this is very different. e5, knight d3, f6 still doesn't lose because there's it does lose.
Takes doesn't lose, does it?
Yeah, takes, but yeah, I take with the knight. I go c4.
Understood.
There is immediate counterplay with f5, but it's not equal. You don't really like it. He's already played c5. This is very curious to me. But
a6 also played.
Yeah, but maybe he felt that nothing else really equalizes.
I should bring up Lecam.
So yeah, I think maybe Sergei is actually getting a little bit of something here. It's not a lot, but it's not entirely empty. And I'm curious as to why Lev has gone for this variation, because he could have arguably not played knight b7 so early. He could have tried something else. But okay, this is in the past. White can also start with d5, I think, because after e5, knight d3, the pawn in e5 is hanging and there's no time to play knight d6.
Alejandro is saying d5, g5. Not sure if he means here.
Yeah.
But
frankly,
it does
anywhere.
look like a decent move.
Yeah, this is a very good spot by Alejandro. Yeah, that explains a great deal. Because otherwise, I'd be rather worried with black here.
Alright, so this is just simplifying.
Yeah, I think too much comes off for black to be worried here at all. There's also g5 counterplay. This is just fine. So yeah, I think Lev just understood that this works on sort of in tactical terms and is therefore not worried about all these things.
So is anything happening anywhere? Bishop g5, rook d6.
Yeah, I'm surprised by this. I don't really understand this move. Not that it's bad or anything, but bishop e7 seemed like perfectly serviceable. This could actually constitute a winning attempt, though. Bishop e7 did seem like it would probably fizzle out, and Hikaru is kind of going all in on forcing white to play d4, d5.
If c5, rook d7, you're saying
I can't find
you
a
cannot
move.
keep.
Yeah, it looks very attractive for a second, but then you still need to make a move that allows you to keep this structure. And I don't see one. I mean, you can play bishop f6 de, but that feels very uncomfortable.
Pourquoi?
Rook g8, d, and first of all there's bishop takes c5, but also there's rook d1 here, but then I can even play bishop g7 or... Yeah, but then we have d5. Well, this is a very curious decision, particularly because the option of playing bishop e7 was definitely a very healthy one.
International Master Kaumandur is pointing out the line we just had on the board. Thanks, Kaumandur.
Yeah, I mean, it could be lagging a little bit.
No, sure.
He's watching, so he probably has not seen us.
No, that wasn't meant as criticism.
Yeah. No, but that is the correct line, and it is one of the tactical justifications for what Lev is doing. Yeah.
Levels to this.
Hikaru is really hoping to, like, I think this is a very active, very serious attempt to keep the position as alive as possible, because I really do not believe he was worse after bishop b7. I did just spot one thing here though. After bishop b7,
d5.
no, d5 I'm not worried. There's rook d2 check first of all, yeah. But even if I had to take on c6, but I think the point is after bishop b7 we take, a knight takes, de, and after knight c6 there is bishop b4. Maybe he was worried about that. Rook e8, f4, f6, rook takes b7. Maybe he spotted this line and decided he might be worse at the end of it. I'm still not sure why though, like even here. Also king a6 might not be completely ridiculous, but even here, well, like rook e7. No, this might lose actually at bishop b7 check. White has at least a draw because this drops a rook. Okay, so this could maybe be an explanation for why rook d6 was played and not bishop b7, or at least an attempt at an explanation. So what happens if white does play d5? Let's discuss. I guess the knight goes to a5, I want to say.
It's not that many options. Knight e7.
Knight e7 feels slow. Yeah, let's
d8,
go.
it's not moving.
No,
so
d8 is just not the square. And we have to spend the tempo on something like bishop d3. I guess. Once again, not much else makes immediate sense here.
Nope.
But then I guess black is just comfortable because it's very... rook b6 blunders the pawn, but yeah, we can start with f6 and then go rook b6. Yeah. Well, bishop b3 is a move, yeah, so... There's also kind of a wider question of what is white planning to do if black just goes b6, bishop, b6, knight b7 here. And hopes to one day establish a light piece on the c5 square. Because if that does happen, black will be close to winning, I would assume. So, yeah. No, Hikaru's approach is very, very ambitious. What he is not playing to equalize. He is playing to get a very double-edged position, which, if he gets enough time to complete all his plans, he will be strategically significantly better.
What about c5?
Well, after rook d7, once again, we need to find a move for white. And let's not get distracted from this, but just to say that the Karyakin-Aronian game is headed towards mass simplification. Is probably now, draw is probably a large favorite now.
No big surprise there. So what was this line? Rook g8?
We'll have to play rook g8 and yeah, either rook d1. Yeah, probably rook d1. But okay, ed4, cd4, bishop b7. I mean, just extremely comfortable for black, no?
Looks fine.
We are forced to take, and we are forced to go king f1, I think. And yeah, d4, d5 is... Actually, maybe I could have taken with the knight. I don't know why I automatically took with the rook.
Because it's check.
Yeah. Knight takes, followed by c6, rook gd8, and knight d5. It's just... I mean, white is lucky if he's not worse here. Probably is worse. You know, I don't think white equalizes. Just way too many weaknesses.
All right.
And once again, once black establishes some kind of f5, knight d5 blockade, the bishop on c2 will not be the smartest piece ever. So can we do this in a slightly different fashion and go, let's say, c5, rook d7, and rook hd1 first? But then black has d3 check, I guess, yeah. ed4, I wanted to play bishop f6 here, but there is this intermediate check. Sufficient took.
How bad is that?
Do not know. Takes from G8.
Here, let's say.
Bishop C5. It's not great for white. Rook F8, yeah. Yeah, you're still not entirely out of the woods because of the king on E2.
Yep.
Could be losing a piece. Yeah, as we were mentioning, these endgames are a lot sharper than they appear, in particular if black goes for something concrete, which is what Hikaru has done here.
Does Fabi look worried?
Well, Fabi looks concentrated, and hasn't, made a move in a while. So there is no obvious solution to his issues here, at the very least.
So where did it all go wrong?
Well, maybe you can make an argument for not allowing E5. Ah, okay. Nikita is suggesting something which could be quite interesting. In the current position, C5, Rook D7, and white plays Bishop B4 with the intention of basically meeting anything, whatever black does with Rook takes B7.
Zwischenschach.
And I don't think it changes very much. King D2. This is like white wants to make a draw, but white actually probably does make a draw. King C8 and bishop takes C5 probably forces white to go bishop B7, bishop C6. But since we don't really believe white is better anyway, this could be a decent way to bail here. Since so far, none of the things we discussed so far. Yeah, Nikita has already updated his message by saying an attempt to bail out, and it might be a successful attempt to bail out. Well spotted by Nikita. Yeah, Fabi is still thinking. MVL made a move in that weird position they have. Bishop C2. I was trying to understand. Like, for instance, no, this doesn't work. It's curious, because with the bishop on C2, if I go, let's say, bishop B4 here, Rook C6 becomes an exchange sacrifice. Because after Queen D7, you are not in time to play Rook AC1. And I don't think you can actually sacrifice this exchange by bishop G6, Queen C6. It doesn't feel like you're getting enough compensation there.
It's a start with taking here, but then even FG, no?
No, FG in these positions is a very interesting choice for sure.
Because here I'd argue we might have enough, but
I'm not even sure about that. Like king takes H7, BC. Okay, you can give a check, but
not sure I want to.
You
Okay,
might.
let's do this.
And let's say I go F5 here. Unless I lose this pawn. Yeah, if I lose this pawn, I don't go F5. Let's go C6 or King G8. Yeah, whatever. King G8. Yeah, really weird position. Like if you get F4 or F5, you win. But will you be in time to get F4 or F5?
I don't know.
Very questionable.
Rafa Total is saying, Lever and Sergei are already looking at each other like, how do we do this? Normally, if that's the consensus, they draw finds a way, as I learned from Jurassic Park.
But yeah, C4 is... I was wondering why C4, but basically Sergei doesn't even want to think about black playing Rook B1, B5, and now the C pawn and the B pawn will disappear off the board, and in those 4 against 4 positions you can always find some kind of a semi-artificial repetition.
So this will conclude quickly.
Yeah.
What has happened in Dr. Schach?
Well, after Queen A5 he did go Knight C3 as we expected ages ago, and Wesley did not find anything stronger than Knight B6. Knight B6 felt to me like it might not be the most precise move, exactly because of D6, CD6, Rook takes D6, which looked a bit awkward to me, but maybe he just goes Bishop G7 here and says, do your worst.
But awkward as in black might not be better, or as in black?
Black could be
have
slightly worse, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because the rook on d6 is doing a very, very good job of dominating most of black's light pieces. Maybe bishop e7, though. Drive it away, go rook d8 and start swapping.
Just for me, if I take, what's worrying me?
Yeah, I thought I can take with the queen, but knight a4 is... Yeah, I missed knight a4.
Always knight a4.
Yep. Okay, well, let's take with the pawn then.
Yeah, anyway.
And now we will attempt to give mate with completely insufficient material. And fail.
Sounds like a plan.
And fail. But are we a stranger to failure? Clearly not. I even got somewhere, but not enough. Yeah, 94. Bishop g2, king g2. First of all, you're not forced to take, but I think you can actually take, and after knight c6 you have queen a3 or queen a1. Those could be the only two moves available to you, but they look sufficient. Yeah, that's why I got mildly excited about the whole thing, but it doesn't materialize.
But yeah, if that theory holds water, then it would mean that Wesley can more or less make a draw with bishop c3, or he can think about continuing the game by putting his bishop on either square.
Yeah, and Vishy did play bishop before, so it could become very interesting now, because bishop g6, as Jan mentioned, bishop g6 is a serious option here. And someone in chat suggested that after bishop g6, bishop c3, there is bishop b1, but the problem with that move is that black will not take on b2 and lose. Black will play bishop b4, and you still have to prove you have anything. The knight on e6 is just such a wonderful defending piece. And people are saying after rook b3, f5, which is a machine, obviously a machine move, but not one that is impossible to find, because it's a very
human move too.
Yeah, it's
especially
a very
now that there's no more rook c6.
Yeah, trying to use the fact that the rook is currently very, very sidelined on a horrible b3 square gives black a very good game.
And knowing MVL, rook b3 he will only do
if
there's no other legal move.
He really, I mean, if he played bishop c2 with the intention of playing rook b3, it's some kind of a body snatcher situation. It's not the MVL we know.
What's that reference? Body snatcher, your body gets overtaken by different spirit?
I think that they were aliens, as far as I remember, the snatchers.
Okay.
So yeah,
they did snatch.
They did snatch, yeah. Their jaws that bite, and their claws that snatch.
Nah, he doesn't look snatched to me.
No, but yeah, we think we know what MVL thinks about positions like this, and Wesley goes with bishop e7. If we're continuing to jump around, Wesley decides that there's no reason to kind of beg for a draw here when he is not worse, and continues keeping pieces on the board.
Fair enough.
Yeah, also
bishops.
Also quite fair, yeah. Rook has to go, I guess, to g1, and no other squares really make any sense to me. And
yeah, queen a8, I guess.
Yeah, actually queen a8, yeah, I missed that option.
You're not jumping up and down. Filled with joy.
They stole corpses from graveyards, so I'm not as cognizant on my body snatcher lore as I thought I was.
Should be.
And as I should be, exactly. There is no attack on the king side after bishop takes g6, or, says Panther Chess. We kind of briefly covered it. There's definitely...
There's also the question if you take, or...
Yeah. Well, FG, the question about FG is how do you deal with rook c6 followed by rook c1? If there is a good way to drive that rook away, then it's one thing. If it kind of stays there, yeah,
this could be very unpleasant. Actually,
it could be quite it could be quite annoying. Yeah.
So we need like 18 tempo a4.
Which is why I was even kind of seriously wondering about queen c8 followed by rook a6 as a reply to rook c6 straight away. But I'm worried about knight g5, for instance, or queen b3. Yeah. Yeah, this because of how awkward Rook C6 is, this doesn't really appeal to me very much. But I think it's possible to just accept that exchange sacrifice and play. It's a very double-edged position. If Black weathers the immediate storm, I would venture to say that he's doing well.
Fair enough. I would venture to say that Levan Aronian and Sergei Karyakin did not break too much of a sweat today. They are done with their encounter, and they left the board already. I was hoping for an episode of bad lib reading, but
Yeah.
we won't have it.
And Eclating Mighty Arms says Bishop G6, Bishop C3, Bishop B1. I kind of addressed this, but let's show this on the board.
Ale.
Bishop G6, we take the rook. Bishop goes all the way back. We go Bishop B4.
Interesnie.
No, but we go Bishop B4. I actually think Bishop H7 is probably a better bet, because Bishop B4, Queen D3, G6. You take on B5, I go Rook B8 and C5. This actually looks to me like it might be just lost for white. Because of, like, if Black actually manages to start breaking up the center here.
Once stuff opens,
Yeah, the fact
rooks
that
are rooks.
yeah, the fact that Black has two rooks and you only have one, and it's also on A1 still, relevantly enough, will be a huge problem for white. The Bishop G6 line is quite unclear, but I mean the Bishop H7 line, but Bishop B1 I dislike unless I'm missing something immediate.
Good point. So let's look at this again. Bishop F7, by the way, just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
You don't open the F file for Black
The rook.
voluntarily. That's not a thing you do.
So takes. There was also the option to give this check
And take with the
take
queen.
with the
Yeah,
queen, but
yeah.
it feels wrong. Like
I think you're making Black's life easier by allowing immediate F5 exactly. Because F5 is the most obvious source of immediate counterplay here for Black.
So we'll get this one way or another.
Very likely.
No, probably you should keep this pawn one way or another.
Either C6 or B4. B4 is not pointless here. Hoping once again to find some work for your rooks, because C4 is a very committal move. I'm not sure you can make it work. So Black,
Doubt it.
yeah, Black probably gets the B file open, and then you can start going for some Rook B1 play. And yeah, we do have a. We have to wonder whether this is still MVL, because he did play Rook B3.
Wow, Monsieur Maxime. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Qu'est-ce que tu fais? I do speak French very, very fluently.
Yeah,
And
I've been,
MVL and Laurent are always delighted when I speak to them in their native language.
yeah, and all I can say on the subject is, je ne mange pas ce jour.
I doubt that. Fuchsia is saying, hey ya! Hello Fuchsia! Now that you're here, I would like to request bans, or at least yellow cards, for whoever it was earlier in the chat that asked who is Pramod. And then for Spills, the yellow card, but I already handed it out, so you don't have to do it again, for misspelling Pramod. Other than that, things have been under control. Just reporting, you know?
Yeah, and Schach and Wesley actually found a threefold.
Oh, Nietzsche. Wesley just went back.
Yeah, Wesley, and you can't blame Schach for going Rook D6 in this position, because honestly, if you give Black a tempo somewhere here, you might start feeling that Black is actually somewhat better.
Yeah, strange game, but looks like Wesley. The one point where he maybe had to think was about this nice little G6 move. But yeah, the same old story. Schach doesn't have a lot of punch with whites normally against his peers.
Fuchsia says, I'm not paid enough to scroll up.
That's why I'm telling you what happened. You don't have to scroll up. And yeah, I think we're okay. I did hand out the yellow card orally. We should have that, like
Yeah.
maybe like in basketball, you get 5 fouls and then you're banned.
Yeah. Once again, as the resident Twitch user here, I want to say that temporary timeouts are
We do have those.
where it's at.
We do have those.
That is, I think, a very good analog of a yellow card.
As the resident chess24 user, we do have temporary timeouts.
I stand chastised.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of chicken, says Moshi. I'm also quite hungry, as I have just expressed in a different language, but please don't, inflame our hungers even more by mentioning food.
Then again, the show does start at 4:30. There's just no time to eat before. And Mr. Dodgy is saying that oral yellow cards sounds different. Yeah, I wasn't sure if handing out yellow cards orally was the proper thing to do. Alright, verbally. More oral abuse there from Mr. Dodgy.
Yes.
So 2 draws. 2 down, 2 to draw.
Yeah,
This is chestnut checkers.
we discussed this position briefly, but we
discussed it.
I mentioned d5 was a move, but we didn't really cover it because we were kind of more concentrating on the idea of going rook h d1. And in this position, bishop takes c5 is the obvious move, but you could also try challenging the bishop on f6 straight away by something like rook e7 or bishop e7 or bishop g7, probably bishop e7. But I guess white just ignores it, like goes bishop e4 and says, taking this bit of a...
Or do you want to switch to it? No, you don't have to, I guess.
But even here, like rook g8, followed by rook e6, followed by rook takes f6, I'm very, very quickly losing my enthusiasm for this position for white.
And Martino Veritu, just as other native French speakers here, are wondering, didn't you say je ne mange pas?
That's exactly what I said, yes.
Doesn't that mean I don't eat anymore?
Uh,
no, that would be je ne mange plus.
The whole thing is
Je n'ai pas mangé, is that what you're trying to say?
The whole thing is a quote from the book we actually discussed on air a few shows back.
All right.
The 12
the
chairs.
Discworld?
The 12 chairs.
All right. Moshe is saying, feels so sorry for starving Peter.
Look at
People
me.
are very protective.
People are very protective, but also not very observant, because every time I look up and see myself on the screen, I start immediately regretting my decision to shave, because apparently when I still had what passes for a beard on my face, I could hide the fact that my face is so very round. But it's become very obvious now that I've shaven most of it off. It will grow back, but now people know, and I will no longer be able to hide my... Yeah, I'm quite clearly not starving, is what I'm trying to say.
Please elaborate further.
Do not want.
Guillaume Evel says, I don't eat. Which I think.
That's good policy.
It's 2018. It's a bit ridiculous. We still have to eat constantly. We're hungry in order to keep living. You have to keep eating and drinking. And food, normally. Can't we just take 2 pills in the morning and we're good for at least 24 hours? Seriously.
I endorse this message.
But it feels like it's going the other way around, no? We're all about... In Germany, that you have to write bio on anything if you want to sell stuff. I've been thinking about telling Chess24 that we should sell bio premium memberships.
Vichy knows how things are.
Yeah, but F5, as mentioned, it's also the computer's best move apparently. That's what we've been told, but it feels fairly natural now. So Vichy is putting the pressure. Easy Ride 27 asking 2 pills or 2 pills or 2 pills. No, I'm German, and there are some strict rules in Germany about that, which are expressed by the sentiment kein Bier vor 4. Pils is Pilsner. So you can't have 2 pills in the morning. I meant pills with double L. Vichy is putting pressure on Monsieur MVL. He out-prepared him, and now he's out F5ing him.
Yeah, and the point is that with the rook on b3, you normally badly want to take this pawn en passant, because otherwise the f-file gets opened in all kinds of really unpleasant fashions for white. But if you take on f6 here, the way your pieces are positioned, I guess black immediately mounts a very, very serious attack on the king side. I probably take on c2 first. Queen takes c2, I take on f6. You have to play knight e5. And knight e7.
Sorry. Give me the first move of the line.
ef. I don't know why I'm including bishop c2, but I don't even want to calculate bishop g6, which
All
is,
right,
I
don't
think,
do it.
yeah, takes, queen takes. Knight e5 seems like the only move in the position. And I'm kind of wondering if even bishop d6, knight d7, queen h4 could be a way to play this.
This looks like a good e4, e5 position.
Yeah, but it really does. It really does. And the rook on b3 is really not covering this in glory for white, yeah. Actually, queen h4, knight f8, queen h3 is a move which I did not appreciate from the way off.
Even rook f8 looks good, but if
yeah, queen h3, but this might be a draw. Oh no, queen h7 check. Sorry, yeah, that was a misplay. So rook f8, I think white has to go king g2, but I couldn't find any mate here. This was my issue because it looks very attractive, but I couldn't really understand how I'm proceeding. Yeah, maybe h5, because this needs to be calculated though. Queen g6.
Queen g6, yeah.
Yeah, because rook f2, bishop f2, we're not winning, we're losing. This is very unpleasant. Knight f4, king f1, and the rook on b3, which we were criticizing so strongly.
Big champion of defense.
Yeah, is actually a very, very big champion of defense there. So after king g2, I would still need to find a move here for black to be convinced that black is doing as well as I would like.
Rook f3, not the
Yeah,
way.
it runs away. Yeah, this is what you want to do because like you're aesthetically it's just such a nice move to make, but you are giving up too much material here for not enough checks.
Riptide is asking if there's no more eating, what do we have to live for? Fair. Looks like Riptide is very pro-life. Oh no, that's loaded language, right?
Yeah.
He's a carpe diem type of guy. He's a tombstone in his profile picture.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't mind food.
No, yeah.
I just feel the necessity to constantly, keep reloading is unfair. We should just... Nah, I haven't thought this through.
But I think
I rest my case.
I think we're getting there. I think we're not arguably that far off from the moment where the option of just eating a small peel labeled chicken will become a thing of reality and not sci-fi.
Why would the pill have to be labeled chicken? Can't just be called June 5th?
Or that, yeah. D. Bonovich says, what happens if So and Carlsen are tied? Is it Zonneberg? No, it's always playoffs, basically. I can't...
There's playoffs. The rules that were published were a little confusing. They said if they have a tie, a two-way tie, on Thursday until 7 p.m., which sounds hard to have all the games finished until 7 p.m. if they start at 4:30, then they would play that tiebreak that night. And if they had more than a two-way tie, it would be the next day. So I'm not quite sure what they would do in the likely scenario that they have a two-way tie at 9 p.m. But we'll find out.
Yeah, we will find out, and we will be covering the playoffs whenever they happen.
Riptide is giving us some more insights into the joys of life. He's saying pizza, heavy metal music, and bullet chess. When my wife is not at home, that's the way to spend the evening. I thought he was throwing his wife under the bus, but he's just saying when the wife's not at home, then this is, the distractions he allows himself.
Those are not distractions. Those are...
Well, from spending family time.
Okay. I still feel like an argument can be made for family time being, the distraction from the all-important business of bullet chess and pizza eating. But
do you do any of those things? Pizza, heavy metal music, or bullet chess?
I do occasionally eat pizza. Not the other two though. No. EF6 played in the MVL Anand game.
MVL ain't no fool. So what was your case against this? I probably transposed anyway.
In many cases it will transpose, but also bishop takes g6 first is a move you need to consider because it exists, and I am all for conserving energy. But maybe.
And also, yeah, it might be a better version for white now. Queen g6, knight e5, and hg. Why would we want that?
Yeah.
All right.
And keeping the white queen on g1 does not feel like it achieves very much. So this feels more natural, but we still need a solution to the question what we're doing after knight e5 there. We can start with queen h4, now that I think about it. Maybe, but there's queen c6. The position is still quite sharp.
Queen h4 here, yeah?
Yeah, I wanted to dodge the fork on d7 and not have to give up an exchange there and continue with equal-ish material, but queen c6 feels very awkward.
Yeah. Looks so nice for black.
Yeah, it does. It does look like there should be a solution which gives
this
black.
Feels nice too.
That gives black. Yeah. Is queen f3 ever a move here?
So what do we gain by queen f3?
Ah, yeah, the queen is on c2. Yeah, I actually looked at this and then I realized f2 will not be hanging when the bishop goes somewhere. But where does it go though? g5. G5 probably, yeah.
Ale.
Yeah. Yeah, if I have to play queen f7, I haven't really achieved very much. Although it probably forces bishop e3, so it's a draw. But I would like more with black here. It's a weird repetition, but not entirely illogical even.
No, let's have Monsieur Vichy figured out after ef6. No clear win yet, and no clear advantage for black, I should say. And in Caruana Nakamura, this position is on the board.
Yeah, it's similar to what we discussed, but Hikaru decided to pick up.
Right.
Yeah, decided to pick up a pawn on c5 first, and well, rook b7 probably leads to a draw. Black is maybe ever so slightly better there. We take rook b1 check, king c8, bishop takes c6. We take on f6. You can do it in whatever. Yeah, ef. We go rook e8 check, rook e6.
Oops.
And if anyone is slightly better, I assume it's black, but this has to be some kind of a draw, right?
Does it?
Well, yeah, actually I'm not sure. Rook b7,
It's
rook
like
a6.
suffering.
Yeah, rook b7, rook a6 is not much fun, yeah.
I've certainly lost time games like this.
And yeah, thanks for all the positive feedback about the recaps. Yeah,
Two games.
White still needs to be careful here. You can take play f4, but you're still not solving your issues in the center. Both g5 and f6 look quite promising for black.
G5, maybe we can pin.
Yeah, okay, let's go f6. Yeah, now the question is maybe we can play rook b5 and go for some kind of positional counterplay.
Positional counterplay.
Yeah, takes and go f5.
a6, rook c5, and you're saying, I will not move.
Yeah, well, I don't really believe what I'm saying here. After takes f5, black probably should have some comfortable way to stabilize. Even takes king b8, bishop b4. I mean, if all else fails, you can go knight d8 here, and then b6. And claim that you have more pawns on the board.
Yeah.
Not a claim that's easy to refute here.
No, you can only do it by taking. So Fabi fighting for a draw. What went wrong? I still don't get it. Like, okay, this endgame looks double-edged, but it doesn't feel like.
I think maybe...
Is d4 wrong?
No, I think d4 cannot really be a mistake. But I think maybe king e2 was a little bit our favorite word on the show. Maybe a little bit blasé.
Ah, blase.
Maybe he needed to actually consider a lot more seriously what black threats could be here.
So what should he have done, bishop?
Bishop e3, bishop e4. I don't know. One of those things. But I very much like what Hikaru is doing, though. Like, Fabi, I mean, definitely you have to ask yourself why you are, at the very least, not better with white and probably slightly worse by move 20. But Hikaru's approach today I very much like. First of all...
He's done his homework. It's bishop d3, bishop d7, blitzed out. Like.
Yeah, first of all, he came prepared for a sideline. I haven't really seen Fabi play very much, and bishop d3 is a sideline of a sideline. And yeah, the whole g6, e5 sequence is a very concrete way of trying to deal with what Fabi is doing. To the extent that I'm beginning to wonder if f3, f4 was a move he could have considered here instead of king e2. It's an ugly move to make, but at least it stops all these types of counterplay.
Where do you want to go f4? Here?
Well, instead of king e2, yeah. It does stop e5, more or less forever, but it also limits your c1 bishop very, very significantly, and something like knight e7, f5 becomes a lot more attractive, because there's never bishop g5 as a reply.
Yeah, maybe it's just fine. Good homework by Hikaru.
As I said, very impressed with his play so far, and the MVL Anand game is still following the line we've been analyzing, and it irks me quite a bit there that I cannot find a solution.
Where do you want to solve stuff?
In MVL's game.
All right.
Because it's one of those where like every bone in your body is telling you black should be better. But I just can't see how, and it's confusing.
Vishy might feel the same way. MVL, he's very, well, obviously, he's a fantastic chess player, but also I feel he's reasonably free of prejudice. If he says, I can't see what's good for you, I'll go for this position, even if it looks
Let's
ugly.
discuss something crazy looking. Can I play c5 here?
That's too crazy.
Queen h4. Rook f8.
Not that crazy anymore. King g2, c4
King
is
g2,
your
c4,
point, yeah?
I'm very happy about my position, yeah. No, I think the question has to be if you can play a3, because dc5, d4, I feel like I also should be quite happy about my position, because the only square the bishop can go to is c1.
Oh, you don't even want to take?
Yeah, queen h3 is also very strong, yeah. I don't know why I was neglecting that. But d4, I have to say, looks quite attractive as well, no?
Sometimes
so a3,
there's more than one attractive option.
But a3, the issue is a3, I wanted to play a4.
Okay.
Because c4 you take queen takes b3 and the d5 pawn is hanging. But actually even that is quite good. Yeah, ab takes, queen c6 here. I'm sorry, I'm kind of changing on the fly, but no, this probably holds for white. Which is why I wanted to start with a4. But now rook d3 is what is worrying me.
It's a square.
Yeah. I think like it's one of those where queen takes h3 is probably a draw. I don't think white... Yeah, and c5 played Vishy. Vishy is in the mood today. I don't know if this is any good. I mean, I suggested it, so it probably isn't. But this is fun.
And Nikita Petrov was saying for some reason the engine gives 0, 0, 0. Probably because equal.
Yeah.
But it does look dangerous.
Yeah. Generally, the reason why the engine gives 0, 0, 0 is because the position is just not better for anybody. But yeah, this is a tremendously exciting position, with a lot of fun to analyze. Queen f7 played. Now this I did not expect.
Vichy is saying
He still needs to take on
in
f8.
no particular hurry.
Yeah, I mean the tactical justification remains the same, but with the queen not attacking the king side yet. Let's say I go a3 here. I guess you go a4 anyway, yeah. Because c4 I wanted to do exactly the same. ab, cb, and maybe even queen c6, because queen b3, queen f3 I'm less sure about. Black does have a5, a4 here as a move, yeah. Queen d5, weird position.
Let's take this guy, but then
Yeah.
f3.
Yeah, allowing queen f3 looks very risky in most of these positions. Queen f7 is a very interesting option. I have not really considered it, but it gives black a lot more stability when the queen eventually jumps from c2.
Still weird.
Yeah.
So slow. Also, dc d4 is just good.
Well, bishop c1, knight c5. I mean, this is the one thing I do not expect to happen at all. No, you're missing, I mean, queen f2 is kind of strong, yeah. No, it does feel like a3 could be the only move in the position, frankly. Such a weird position. c4. King takes. I think you're significantly worse, no?
Yeah, I'm not thrilled. Just looking at what's legal. No, but there's knight c2.
Yeah.
No.
Knight g4 and rook a8, and this is going to be horrible. Even simply knight c6 I think is extremely strong, followed by d4 against any move.
Yeah, black is better.
Yeah. No, I think it hinges on the evaluation of this. And probably c4, because a4, I have a feeling I can take on b4 with the rook. I was trying to calculate that. Takes, takes, queen f3, and queen c6. And I think white holds, because there's really no outstanding squares for this knight. Holds maybe is even pessimistic, because so far I don't know exactly how to equalize with black. Maybe knight f4 equalizes, but once again needs to be carefully checked.
All right.
Knight f8, rook f8 on the board, and like my current thinking is a3 is the critical move, and I have no idea what's going on.
Well, the chat keeps yelling 0, 0, 0 after a3, c4. So.
That's a clever tactic we did not see. After queen c6, the computer suggests there is the move knight g5, which, okay, now it really likes a4. But we should point out that knight g5 exists, which is an immediate draw, because black obviously has a perpetual, and just as obviously does not have anything stronger. But a4 is a very interesting option here. The point being that many endgames will be better for black with this setup and this horribly weak pawn on b2.
So how does this line go? Now knight g5.
Yeah, there's queen takes b5, queen takes b2 in the end there.
This is very important.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, queen f3 followed by a3 is winning on the spot here.
I might ban Vichy if he does this.
Yeah, I think you're kind of asking for trouble if you execute this without thinking.
Once you see it, of course, it all makes sense. But also b8, you go h6. Like this is computer chess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. I can read out the moves, but I don't understand them. Okay, now we win because this is a double threat. But
yeah.
More power to you.
Yeah, exactly. So the 0, 0, 0 there, which once again, it could very easily be true. But this is not the easiest 0, 0, 0 you will see in your lives.
Maxime is touching something.
He will play a3. I'm reasonably certain he will play a3. Everything else just looks horrible.
Queen f5 played.
Whoa. Okay, so he really just liked those positions. Why does he think he is not worse in his endgames?
He does think he's worse, and he thought he was worser in the other position.
Okay. C4 rook takes before. This is what we missed because d5 is hanging. But there is.
We don't have to start.
Yeah,
with
what he maybe potentially missed is that there is the move queen d7 in this position.
He doesn't miss stuff.
Yeah, but.
Wow. Oh yeah, but of course this is better.
Yeah, this is a much improved version. White is still not really playing for a win because of how good the black's queen side is, but yeah, you don't lose these with white. What is the TV show, Bassmaniac?
Bassmaniac is saying, watching my favorite TV program at the same time as this. That's impossible, Bassmaniac. No one's capable of multitasking. You're switching back and forth between your favorite TV program and this.
Yeah. And also, I have to point out that you don't need to finesse it this much. You can start with queen d7 and then play c4. Leads to exactly the same positions, but without the...
Who does that?
Unnecessary flair.
Come on, Bassmaniac, stop teasing. Just tell us what the show is. Keep saying, true, but it's a show I don't like to miss. A very good episode to boot today. Is it Doomsday Preppers?
Mute? Ghost Adventures. Was not aware this was a thing. We now will do immediate research.
I'm
Season
sure
16
is aware of Ghost Adventures.
Is an American television series about the paranormal that premiered on October 17, 2008.
Wow, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like...
That's what we're competing with, Bassmaniac? Ghost Adventures.
Zach Bagans and Nick Goff.
Audience score, 95% of people liked it. Okay. They do visit notoriously haunted locations, such as the old Washoe Club in Virginia City, Nevada. Okay, I'm hooked. Actually, I think I would enjoy that show. I take it back.
Yeah, Mr. Dodgy is correct in saying that Ghost Adventures just yells promote, and that was Jan's first and immediate thought as well. So. Yeah, and people are piling on. Please don't.
No, I feel bad that we bullied Bassmaniac into revealing it, because he was avoiding to say it.
Yeah, and you know, as someone who watched the first, I want to say 13 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, I feel I have no right to judge. So yeah, if you want to bully somebody, yeah, I raise my hand. And
Fuchsia is trying to defend multitasking. She's saying some people are owning 2 monitors and they can move their eyes independently.
That doesn't sound like a
But can
thing.
they transmit from their eye to the brain at the same time? I'm questioning that. I read a book that was talking about like smart stuff, and it was saying you can only switch back and forth. You can't like do 2 things at the same time.
Yeah, there is a chess-related story on the subject when I think in the Soviet, like if there are people in chat who are old enough to understand this reference, I'll be very, I don't know why I should be very happy about it, but I will be quite happy because I think two most prolific authors, at least in the olden times, of theoretical monographs were Messieurs Taimanov and Suetin, and they wrote between them. They covered like pretty much the entire opening theory.
I read a lot of Sweaty books.
Yeah, and Taimanov was once asked why is it that he is currently sort of lagging behind in a number of opening books, and Suetin has kind of pulled ahead in the number, and Taimanov said, that might have something to do with the fact that he has the ability of writing with both hands simultaneously. Fouled is not a word.
Fuchsia is saying her cat can censored and purr at the same time. So it's... What could be the banned word there be?
Yeah, we don't know.
We sort of know.
We sort of know, but we don't know.
We don't know if we can say it. We might get banned.
And Donner is saying he has done banned Fuchsia. I really hope that's not true.
We'll find out. Fuchsia, if you're banned, let us know.
Fabio is still thinking. He must be getting reasonably low on time here. He's down to 20 minutes against 45-ish for Hikaru, relevantly for 21 moves until they reach the first time control. So yeah, he's probably not enjoying this a great deal.
Nope.
Because he has to choose between some, frankly, very unpleasant endgames. None of them really look equal to my eyes. They just all look slightly to seriously worse.
Wow. This Fuchsia silence
has been lifted.
No one can ban me. Challenge accepted. Now, we do not want any banning today. Is that true?
So far. So far there have been some yellow card candidates, but no ban-worthy things in chat.
Well, it's a discussion. When Spill is misspilled Pramot, I wasn't sure if there was a yellow or red card, frankly.
Yeah, and Vish is still thinking, but since really nothing else is particularly appealing here, I think he will end up playing some version of that Queen d7 line.
One way or another. So this looks nice for black.
Yeah, it is. It is very nice, and the machine suggests Bishop d2 as arguably maybe the only way for white to hope to preserve the balance, and it suggests that h5 in this position is very strong.
Why can't I go f4? I want to go f4, but I lose my queen.
Yeah, you are.
I get jumped.
Yeah, you get jumped on. Yeah, both knight c5 and knight g5 are very strong in this position. Here,
I won't be happy.
No. If MVL does play bishop d2, finding h5 will not be a trivial task for Vishy. And Vishy is also running slightly low on time, but not really, considering it's already going to be move 30 by that point, if they reach that position.
The Mechanic is saying, I like mods with a big ban hammer. Nah. This show has been very peaceful.
And Fabio has finally settled on a move, and he does go for that line, so I expect the entire thing to be more or less blitzed out. It does look like a very forcing variation.
Was this his endgame?
Yeah, you take, black takes on f6, goes rook e8, e6.
Yeah, obviously, Fabi needed like 12 seconds to calculate this, but...
Yeah, and another 15...
Then he had to talk himself into it, because there's nothing better.
Yeah, you really aren't going to enjoy this very much, but you might hold it. Something like rook b4, I think, is a very decent computer suggestion, to be able to play a4 when rook a6 comes along, because
f4 or
probably king e3 and shuffle. Because if rook a6 actually forced white to play rook b2, I would venture to say that this is probably lost for white, because black goes rook a4 and then starts threatening the h2 pawn as well. The rook on a4 would be an absolute monster. But with the white rook on the fourth, maybe white is able to preserve the balance by, you know, being flexible enough to protect all of his weaknesses, of which there are many.
Jamsnacker is rightly pointing out that Fushan, a place in China, is pronounced Fushan. Pretty big place.
Yeah, so... Whoa. Vichy.
She goes CD.
Yeah.
Does that win the exchange back?
Well, queen f7, rook f7, bishop c1, knight c5, I guess he's quite happy about, but bishop c1 is, once again, if there are any alternatives, MVL will do something else, and I think he could do, he could play a3 instead of bishop c1 there.
D3 might even be wrong because it gives the bishop this square.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this looked terrible. Rookie, yeah.
No, this is completely horrible, but instead of bishop c1, yeah, and this position already is on the board, a3 appears to make an immediate draw. Because d8 takes b, black, I mean, it looks dangerous, but I guess black is not. Hang on, d, rook takes e3 maybe even. Oh, that's... Yeah, this as well. I was wondering about e2 followed by knight d4, but the computer is singularly unimpressed about all this.
Compy boy, what you do?
Compy boy says the a-pawn queens, I don't care about your e2 pawn. Rook e8 check and then ba. Yeah, Compy is very concrete about things like this. Yeah, completely dead lost for black suddenly, because knight f3 check just allows the a-pawn to queen. Yeah.
Alright, so where does that leave us? A3 you have to go here and try to regain le matériel.
And once again, only moves are rook takes b4 and bishop takes d4, but they are not difficult to find. And yeah, we end up with no pieces on the board.
We make draw.
Yeah, much draw, so wow.
Isn't it beautiful when all the material just disappears?
Yes.
It feels like a well-played game. And it's all
yeah, but I think Vichy, sort of when he, if this is how it ends, and I think currently it's extremely likely that this is exactly how it ends once Maxime plays a3, and Maxime is extremely likely to play a3. Vichy will have decent reasons to be disappointed with how it came out, because he played a very, very interesting game up to this point, and it feels like for some reason he disliked something about queen f5, c4. I'm not entirely sure what. Whoa, and Maxime takes rook takes b4 first.
Wow. Maxime says, I don't want to draw. I'd rather be in trouble.
Yeah, that's a curious decision. A, B, bishop...
Miscalculated? What's going on, Maxime? We now have the engine running, so we'll yell blunder when there are swings like that. And the engine is saying that this is just bad.
He did have 40 minutes.
Whoa.
This is a very curious decision, because white is sort of never ever better here. And why wouldn't you investigate your other options instead of blitzing this out?
Wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't criticize this decision if Maxime was in horrible time trouble, but he did have, I think, enough time to pause and not to rush into anything. And if Vichy finds b3, ab, rook f3 in this position, which is not at all impossible, MVL I think is in grave danger. Yeah,
closer look here.
Many confusing turnarounds.
b3 blitzed out by
b3
Vichy.
blitzed out by Vichy. Yeah, Vichy is not missing, doesn't miss very many short tactical shots like this.
Wow.
No, Vichy once again becomes, I think, a large favorite to win this. Just looks horrible. AB, rook f3. Let's count for a second. Currently it's equal pawns, but one of them will fall, either b3 or h3, and you don't really want to lose either.
No, especially once the rook starts sitting here.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
Yeah. No, this setup is like eventually black strengthens his position enough to...
Horsey gets somewhere.
Yeah, Horsey gets to e4 or a4 or d3, one of those squares. Yeah. No, once again, perhaps, we shouldn't be shouting at MVL this much. It has been a very difficult game up to this point, and his decisions really were on point up to this moment. But
why not here?
yeah, in particular, why do you make a move like rook takes b4 in like 5 minutes flat when you have 40?
Maybe he was spooked by this stuff as well.
Yeah, but he actually is objectively winning here. So once again, it makes sense to investigate a little bit further. Yeah, really, really confusing bit of time management by Maxime there. And if Vichy does end up converting this, which is not at all impossible, and actually feels quite likely right now, this will be the first, as someone already pointed out in chat, will be the first game that Black won in this tournament.
Very true. Big discussion in the chat about the Indian version of Fast and the Furious. So I'm only interested if you guys can confirm that Pramod's absence can be explained by him taking on the role as the Indian Ludacris for those movies. If not, don't care. Are you a big Fast and the Furious connoisseur?
No.
Rickshaw Redemption. Yeah, that's reasonably.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We do have, I want to say, we do have a very, very nice community here. And we are thankful for all you chat people.
So, nice community. You have 3 minutes to sharpen your Google machines. And then you can maybe win something at 7 p.m. because there is a little quiz where we are giving away exciting prizes, such as, I don't know what the prize is today. Normally it's either a mug, a t-shirt with a chess playing ape, or maybe an extension of your premium membership. I think it's one of the three. I don't know which one. But today's question, this is just to warn you guys. I think today was insanely tough. So be prepared to do painstaking research. Fuxia is saying, I've watched Black Panther yesterday. Wins the prize for the worst movie in the Avengers series. First of all, you're wrong. But secondly, what's interesting is we've watched Pink Panther yesterday.
Yeah. I had a horrible moment of, thinking that somebody maybe hacked your Netflix account or something, and then I realized it's a different Panther.
You didn't like Black Panther? I mean, I thought it was overrated. It has like 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I thought was ridiculous because the final scene is still two guys in a CGI Panther suit punching each other. It's a bit much, but I thought it had a good villain and it had some fun new characters. And I thought it was much, much better than Avengers Infinity War.
Mr. Dodgy hacked something in somewhere, but that is alarming news.
He's been saying that every day.
Anyway, quiz question. Not yet. 2 minutes to go. AB3 Rook F3 on the board. Yeah, on the board in MVL. Anand. Yeah, really unpleasant position for MVL. I think would be the mildest possible description of what's going on here.
Fuxia is saying Black Panther is all kitsch and embarrassing stereotypes. I don't know enough about African culture to really judge, but from what I heard, it has been very, very highly received by most critics for its cultural significance. So I'm not sure, if the cultural references or
I haven't actually watched it because I wanted to watch it with
was
Jan.
Embarrassing or not.
And when I did not get a chance to watch it with Jan, my heart was so broken that I decided that I will wait until I can break laws successfully. But I wouldn't really, in that respect, I wouldn't be particularly comfortable expressing an opinion because I don't
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm also using weird language. But the director, what's his name, Ryan Coogler, he did Fruitvale Station and so on, and he's one of the most conscious guys around. So I'm not sure if we can just call it kitsch. Anyway, this is a topic we're not qualified to talk about, even though I do agree that I also don't like watching movies without Jan. Is it quiz time? Yeah, it is 7 p.m.
Let's go.
This one is tough. First of all, go premium, but you guys are already premium. So here we are. Boom. Name the 3 highest rated players ever born on June the 17th. Not my comma. How do you even figure this out?
I have no idea.
This quiz question brought to you by Peter Svidler. So, what you can win is a 3-month premium extension. Imagine if it's someone who only took out a 1-month premium account and now they gain 3 months because they for some reason know who the highest rated players born on June 17th are. In case you're thinking it's the obvious answer, me, you're wrong. I'm born on June 25th, such as Vladimir Kramnik. So you can rule him out too.
Ah, so that could have been a similar type.
I have no idea how anyone can answer this. You need like what, some birthday calendar by chess players?
Yeah, I did come up with the question because I know the answer, but we discussed this when I suggested that. Okay, so there are some decent answers in chat, but we wanted 3. And I think maybe 3 is kind of pushing it a little bit.
Oh, now the question's out. Don't go back on. Someone will eventually figure it out. I'll just be very curious to hear how they will have figured it out. In the meantime, the last 2 questions, by the way, are much easier because I felt bad about this one. So round 8 and 9, child's play, really. Ambitious Pawn is saying Sam Shankland, which has Sam Shankland reached 42 status?
Ambitious Pawn is actually saying it's Sam Skankland, which is yellow card material right there.
Bolucanolo is helping us by eliminating some players. He's saying Carlson was born in November, so stop thinking it's him. Are you sure your answer is correct, by the way?
Fairly certain. Fairly certain.
So what do you think is more likely? Fabi holding... No, this game ending in a draw? I don't have an or for this. Or Hikaru winning. Draw has to be a favorite, right?
Yeah, I think draw is a favorite. I think it's very difficult. Black pawns are also, like A7 and C7 are all potential targets if black gets very far afield with his rook, so...
And, sorry to interrupt, but I see some answers coming in, which are also the one that you told me was correct.
Yeah,
so,
and I...
Took a while, but yeah, I thought it would take a while because I have no idea how you would even find that out if you comb through rating lists or like some chess players' birthday calendars or how you would do it. It's also, some of those are alive, some are not, but...
Yeah, we did say ever, so yeah. And I am obviously very happy with what I think is the winning nickname. And I approve of the profile pick. Very nice forward defensive there.
Alright, so it is Peter Svidler, Tigran Petrosyan,
the original one, not the one playing today.
And Alexander Motilyov. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I think it is. So Sasha was at some point rated above 2700, I think. He beats most other people who are born on that day somewhat comfortably.
Congratulations to you sickos that figured it out. I'd be very curious to hear how you did that. And that leaves us with, first of all, Mr. Dodgy, predicted one part of the answer was going to be Peter Svidler. Which, I guess is a fair guess. But he didn't have the other two, I think.
Divinsky is way more famous than Motilov. Possibly, but we were not going for fame, we were going for...
And Hikaru is not going for torture here, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is a bit surprising, but I guess he just couldn't find any way to make progress, and frankly neither could I. With the rook on b4, as I said, white plays a4 and h4, and then the king shuttles between d3 and e3. And for all of you people who probably are now seeing the evaluation dropping quite significantly, the king is not on e4. Fabio would never play king e4 in this position, restricting his own rook. It's just the kings being placed in the center for the final, the result.
Iclair Matty Arms is asking, who won the previous quiz? I think I have the graphics with the winners. We'll honor those after the break, if there is a break today. If not, tomorrow. I don't know from the top of my head, but we'll do some honoring. Eli is a little late to the party with Petrosian, Svidler, Motilov.
Yeah, and Guillaume says, I was cheated. French wiki says you were... And then for some reason bleeped on the 16th of... What word would... Why would our algorithms presumably ban the word born?
I don't know.
That is...
Might be a born conspiracy right there.
Exactly. That is... Like, I've seen some really strange things like that previously, but that one kind of takes the biscuit.
Maybe he didn't say born. Maybe he said...
Yeah. And then it's probably factually correct, considering how old I am, but why would you say that?
What? So you weren't born on the 17th?
No, I mean, if that word was blipped for an actual reason, that statement would be factually correct.
I'm not following.
Anyway, I mean, I'm thinking of verbs that would be grammatically correct in that sentence, and that would be blipped by our website banning algorithm, but we are 13, so I should stop. Anyway, final game of the day remaining with Hikaru deciding not to push very hard in that rook endgame. But yeah, MVL is in trouble here.
And Mr. Dodgy is saying, I can suggest some alternatives to Born. I fear the ban hammer. I understand. We're all doing a lot of self-censoring here. All right. Armchair Jam says, please ask more questions like this. And prepare yourself for June 18 tomorrow.
Yeah.
My oracle is saying Jan is talking about being conceived. I'm not convinced he meant conceived. Also would be sort of wrong, no? He wasn't conceived on June 17th. Like,
yeah, that would be...
At least...
Yeah, that would be... Well,
people would have lied to me about it taking exactly 1 year.
Yeah. Not the accepted math on the subject.
By the way, on that topic, I never really looked it up. It's 10 month?
What?
Is it 10 month or 9?
Are you serious here, or...?
Yeah.
9?
It's 9? Okay. Thought it was 10.
Can I please sit slightly further from you, right?
Chat, anybody?
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, and the amount of time MVL has taken on this move, I think, is a very, very good additional indication of just how poor this position is for white, because it's very, very difficult to even settle on a version. You can there's a number of bad positions to choose from, but they're all, frankly, abysmal. At least they appear so to my eyes.
See, Ulysses Contractor is with me. It's 10 month.
Say what? It's 50? No, hang on. No, hang on.
Lenspitz is saying, appalling ignorance, Jan. You're
Well,
not wrong. Those words do describe me fairly well.
we can start showing those horrible positions MVL can choose from, but I think until he finally settles on something, it doesn't really serve very much, too much of a purpose.
Does he have any chance of surviving this?
I think Vichy would need to start making large mistakes. I would say with perfect play, this has to be winning for black.
Carlson 2020 is asking, if Anand wins, will he join the leaders?
Yes.
Yep, he's on 50%, so this table looks a little confusing because of the numbers of games played, because of the Liren situation, but he would jump to +1, where he would join Magnus Carlsen and Wesley So.
Yeah. Because of the withdrawal of Ding, I think sort of counting the points has become a lot less relevant, and you do simply count in terms of plus minus scores, and probably, hang on a second, so Vichy will have played how many games? I guess after today it will all even out, or will it? I'm not sure. Like if Wesley, Vichy, and Magnus will be Wesley will have an enforced rest days in one of the last 2 days, right? I think.
Yep.
So that means that we will still have that disparity with people being in the co-lead but not having the same amount of points is what I'm going with.
I'm still a bit surprised Hikaru did not push harder to join Team +1 either. But okay.
But yeah, how do you make progress after King
He
E3
just
here?
thought it was futile.
Yeah, I couldn't really find a plan either. You can force White to play both A4 and H4, but after that I think your progress is somewhat limited. And White has just... It was very important that Fabi finds Rook B4, basically, which he did find. And I think this is also why he took so long to go for this position, because he needed to convince himself that he will be able to hold all of these weaknesses. And once he spotted the possibility of playing Rook B4, he became a lot more untroubled about the whole thing. Okay, MVL goes with B3, and yeah, you can take on H3 immediately, or you can throw in Rook D3, shifting the bishop to potentially worse squares. Both appear to be very strong.
Not a surprise. Yeah, this will be tough.
Yeah, this is not going to be a
joyful. So if we take, Rook A5, Rook D3 is still bad news, yeah?
Yeah, you need to move the rooks some... Yeah, this is just immediately lost after Rook D3, followed by Rook D1 and D3, D2.
Yeah. Not on time.
Yeah, which is why White goes Rook A6 first, probably, or Rook A8 check, but Rook A6 probably is decent enough. And then goes King F1, E2, or at least attempts to go King F1, E2. Way earlier, move 33. Yeah, and King F1 here. It's still quite bad, and the plan of King F6, King E5 is actually quite reasonable and shouldn't be impossible to find, but starting with Rook D3 first might be even stronger. More or less the only move here is bishop e1, and you can even not take on h3 immediately. You can. White is so completely tied down that starting to bring the king in is a very valid alternative here, like king f7 or something. Oh, rook h3 is also okay.
There's a question for you by My Oracle. Who's your favorite actor who's still working? And who's your favorite chess player regarding body language? Wow, interesting.
Actor still working. It's a tough one. And it's not going to be a particularly original answer either. Well, like I like all the people you're supposed to like. What I remember in those years that I still spoke to Yermo. I haven't seen Yermo in ages and ages, but there was a shortish period of time when we ran into each other regularly, and being from the same town, we spoke quite a bit. And he had this list of actors who he called like people's actors of America, in the fashion that many actors, in particular in the old Soviet Union, you had those titles awarded to you by the state, and that when you received the final in that progression of titles, it meant that you probably became a bronze statue of yourself, and you no longer really were particularly active or particularly good, but you were so important in the nation's consciousness that you had to get that award.
Did you give us a name already or not yet?
No.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So you can argue that somebody like Al Pacino or I don't know, De Niro, and these people, at some point they became, they switched from being actual great actors to being those, people's or whatever it called, esteemed actor of America, of United States of America, where their place is assured, but they no longer really need to act to be regarded as such. I don't know. I really, really like Sir Ian McKellen, for instance, but once again, not a very controversial choice. Can't really.
What are you talking about? Who else lists Sir Ian McKellen as their favorite actor?
I do.
That's what I'm saying. That's a very controversial choice because I've never heard that mentioned. But Pacino, De Niro, I've heard a lot. Dude that played Magneto in Gandalf?
He also is a reasonably well-established Shakespearean actor, and yeah. Please, Peter, we don't want to hear your life story. I know how you feel. I wouldn't want to hear my life story either. And as for chess players in terms of body language, now that Gary is no longer playing, I think you have to go with Jan. Not this Jan, the Russian Jan. He is very, very emotive at the board.
I'm Team Hikaru.
Yeah, or Hikaru. And they are such great friends. So
Are they?
No. Although I think it cooled down a little bit. Baku has been a while back, so I think that whole thing died down.
That was the two-hand castles thing?
Yeah, two-hand and many other things if you listen to Jan. And I have seen the footage. Rook d3, rook e1 played, and I guess MVL really disliked the position after bishop e1 because rook e1 was not a move we were even considering very seriously. I'm beginning to wonder if he just loses on the spot somehow, but maybe not. Because obviously you can just go king f7 and then start picking pawns up, but I was wondering if rook d2 was just queening something, but I don't think it does. Yeah, no, but this is, definitely good enough. Bishop c1 and just, I don't know, take on h3 or rook b3 or... But mainly I think take on h3. Why wouldn't you take a healthy pawn?
Yeah. Very hard to see MVL surviving this somehow. Yeah, clearly Vichy has smelled blood. Sometimes Vichy, yeah, he's not pushing so hard. If he feels it should be a draw and he doesn't want to waste energy, but here he feels he should be winning.
No, here he will feel that if he doesn't win this game, he will be kicking himself very, very hard. It just looks winning for black. The bishop has no real active plans, and black will be a pawn up in the moment. Yeah, if you don't win endgames like this, and Vichy really, I mean, I don't think struggles very badly from conversion issues. I would be worried, but I think Vichy would take himself against the field with black here.
Yeah, first of all, he's fantastic with knights, and secondly, he's very good at these short, precise calculations, which normally make a good technician.
Exactly, yeah. And someone in chat, and we've sort of scrolled past it, so I'm using someone, no disrespect, man, said that rook takes d2 would be the easiest blunder in the world here to make. But I don't think, basically you only exchange those light pieces if you find a way to actually queen one of your pawns on the spot.
Yeah, I don't think he would go for this.
Yeah, you never ever choose a rook endgame over an endgame with a good knight against a bad bishop, because, yeah, this can so easily go wrong. It might actually be winning. I'm not saying this is a draw, but I think general rule of thumb, and King of 7 has been played by this point, is that rook endgames offer a much bigger drawing chance to the weaker side. Bishop c1 played by MVL, and yeah, once again, you can make quiet moves here, but not taking on h3 would be...
Take it.
Yeah, counterintuitive. It's a full pawn, and rook e5, rook g3 is the tactical explanation for why white is in so much trouble, because this bishop is just so poor that it's extremely difficult to create any kind of counterplay. And yeah, on our favorite derail subject, the directors, I would struggle even more than I struggled with the actors. I'm not really very good with directors. Jan would be a lot more knowledgeable on this subject than I am, as with most subjects.
No, that's not true. I haven't given it a lot of thought. Who's my favorite director? The thing is, we're all so numb because of all these superhero movies that it's really not been a big part of the culture anymore to go to the movies because your favorite director has a new movie out, like it used to be in the old days, whoever. Or not even that old days, whoever you can name, like Spielberg or, I don't know, Brian De Palma or whoever really you want to put on that list. Nowadays it's just, okay, do I go give Marvel money to watch Avengers Infinity Wars? They have this young new hip director. Or do I watch that independent movies? But there's not that many like named directors out there doing stuff, right? And I think Brian Coogler is a good director, the guy who did Black Panther and Fruitvale Station.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The guy who did In Bruges, he also did a few other things.
3 Billboards.
Yeah, and I think something else as well. And he would be...
7 Psychopath.
Yeah, he would be one of the, let's say, options of, people who you actually go to see because it's him doing it. But yeah, I'm not a huge specialist on this subject.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Jim Jarmusch would be a good potential answer, but I don't think he's very active anymore.
That's always smart answers. Kieslowski. No, I'm mainstream. I like David Fincher. I like
Fincher.
Tarantino. I like stuff like that.
Although you can argue that by this point we have seen, the movie Tarantino has been filming for his entire life. We have seen it enough to not have to watch more.
No, I think his
of
90s stuff is better than his 2000 stuff.
Sure.
But I still enjoyed Inglourious Bastards and
I still watch everything that comes out. But I really feel that in particular his recent stuff is sort of, first of all, him working through some issues, and secondly, it really is, despite very varied subject matter, it's sort of all one very, very long movie.
People are saying my favorite actor has to be Christoph Waltz. Nah. I think he was great in... I haven't seen that many Christoph Waltz movies. Inglourious Bastards, and what's the other one? Django. But it's sort of the same character, no?
Yeah.
I'm the clever foreigner who you shall not trust until you can trust him. So, yeah, not that high on him. I don't know. Who is my favorite actor? Like I said, it's very hard to think in these categories these days. One guy I enjoy is that dude, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. What was that movie called? That was a properly scary movie. Nightcrawler?
Yeah, Nightcrawler is fantastic.
Yeah, Nightcrawler is one of the better movies I've seen in recent years. And MVL goes Rook E5. I'm very, very surprised, because after Rook D3 he will have to go Rook E1.
Maybe he blundered Rook.
Yeah, but I mean Rook D3, it was just there. Why? How do you blunder Rook D3?
James Lamb is saying Daniel Day-Lewis, obviously. I think that's sort of the trendy answer as for who's sitting on the best actor throne. But I can't say I watched that Daniel Day-Lewis movie and enjoyed it. And we have events here. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we have events, and these events, I think, this is kind of curtains. Yeah, you never ever say event games like this. King F6 followed by G6 followed by H5.
F4, but then this and this, no? Yeah.
No, this is just, this is game over. You kind of, it's also very visibly game over. So I think MVL just thought, okay,
Vishy just blitzes this out.
Yeah, I think I can sort of die slowly or I can die fast here, and I don't really feel like, spending my entire day on defending this with rooks. So I will try defending it without, but it's really more or less impossible not to make these moves for black. Like, you want to create the outside passer, so you start by considering G6 in this position. You realize G6, G5 will make your task slightly more difficult, so you start looking at other options, and other options will at some point include King F6. And then the search ends because King F6 just wins. Yeah, this game will sort of barely last to the first time control, frankly.
And MVL, we've talked a bit about it. He hasn't been in great shape in this tournament.
This is kind of weird to me, because after G5, I mean, black still is winning, but that was not the choice I would have gone with. But I think
why doesn't he start with King F6? What bothers him?
I don't know.
Just King E2, and he feels like he should go about it directly.
Yeah, and MVL played F4 because I think he realized. I think Vishy, once again, this brings us back to this idea about Vishy and short tactics. Because G5, I think Vishy was actually planning to play D3, and the point is, the diagonal is so short that after D3 the king just never leaves E1 without losing the G5 pawn.
And here he pins.
You go D4,
pins it down, and then he brings the king to.
And then the king goes round, and you can never play King D2 because you lose the G5 pawn.
Interesting.
Yeah, but still, like it feels like King F6 would have prompted more or less an immediate resignation, and instead he does this. But this is still very, very bad for white. The threat is now H5. The reason he played Knight D8 here is not to even calculate H5 F5. Otherwise, H5 of course would have been played, but H5 F5 he didn't really want to bother with. Now H5 is a huge threat, and if G5...
F5 it just takes.
Yeah, takes H5 resigns, so King F6 resigns, any of these moves. So yeah, F5 is not an option, and therefore you have to allow H5. So if you want to continue here, you go King F2, H5, King G3 or somewhere, but yeah, with the trouser legs, so to speak, yeah, you never save these positions after 98. And MVL goes G5, but yeah, but now King E6, King F5, followed by Knight E6, and collect everything is I guess he wants to go king d3 and wait until black takes, bishop d2.
But black run out of moves too, no?
Yeah, but black is not obliged to take on the spot, although it also is completely winning. But yeah, with the bishop on c1 you can now take, and there's knight e2 check there. That's a clean way to do it. That's a clean way to do it. So, yeah, Vichy will... this is not, the type of advantage that Vichy lets slip. We are at move 40.
Oh, the game is over.
Yeah, and the game is actually over. Yeah, we should have looked up. Yeah, very, very nice victory for black here, but only really possible because Maxime kind of declined to think at a critical moment on move 29.
Let's briefly do... Well, this was the highlight of the round, but yeah, let's do a very brief recap. And yeah, Vichy played a fantastic game all the way then in this position after queen to f5 to... Well, we had the engine running, but also the eye test seems to be that only black can be better here. Yeah. So, somewhat surprisingly, Vichy didn't go for this, but went for cd4 when Maxime had the option to sort of bail out here.
I'm really, really curious why he chose not to do this. I mean, he obviously missed something. I'm sure he didn't think he was better after rook takes b4, which is the move he chose instead of this. But what could he have missed in this variation? Because very few people calculate as fast or as cleanly as Maxime does in general. So.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like a long or a particularly difficult variation to calculate. And it went completely off the rails.
Instead he took here, which...
Maybe he missed b3. Probably he missed b3. But
even if you miss b3, I have the computer running. Like, this is also very unpleasant. Like,
yeah, maybe you hold, but it's not much fun either. And the other line does give white a reasonably well-defined draw.
Yeah. And after b3, ab, rook f3, Vichy didn't let go.
Yeah, we expected Vichy to win, and when he promptly did. Sorry.
In the other games, 3 draws, not a lot of action in Mamedyarov versus Wesley, so bit of an opening sideline. And Wesley found the strong move indicated by Peter as well after e4, g6. Mamedyarov had to bail out here in order not to be much worse, which he managed, and he managed to draw by getting the pawn back, but no more than that. Sergei Karjakin, Levon Aronian seemed like a fairly uneventful game. They played a trendy line of the Ragozin, where it seems like black should just equalize with careful play, which is what Levon did. And then Fabian Caruana seemed like he got out-prepared a little bit by Hikaru, who, in reply to this very rare bishop d3, blitzed out bishop d7 and went for this endgame, where we're not very sure, but we keep coming back to this position, where it went wrong for Fabiano. But it seems like after king e2, e5, it was already easier to play with black after bishop g5, rook d6. Caruana had to find a way to bail out, which he managed, to his credit.
He eventually found a way to make a draw. We originally thought this rook endgame could be significantly worse for white, but rook b4 is a very precise move to have both a4 and h4 available if the rook attacks those pawns. Yeah, and the cross table with the round finished will look slightly weird once again because people have played unequal numbers of games. Yeah, and this is what it looks like, but only 3 of the people on 3.5 points are actually in the lead. Levon is on 50%. He played all 7 games in 7 rounds. And the 3 other people on 3.5 points are currently leading the tournament on
so
+1.
That means Levon and Mamedyarov are the guys that still have a rest day coming up, so the rest of the field can catch up. And everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So for the leaders, it actually did even out, and Lev is the odd one out there. Very interesting conclusion to the tournament coming up, and MVL actually somewhat surprisingly in dead last on -2.
But he hasn't been himself. We've been talking about it a bit throughout the tournament. That yes, something seemed a little off.
Yes,
not quite sure what the reasons could be. Tomorrow we have the penultimate round, featuring Nakamura Karjakin, Anand Caruana, Wesley So, MVL, and a gentleman called Magnus returning
after
to the fold, 2 rest days. Is gonna be steaming.
Yeah.
And will do whatever is in his power to defeat Mamedyarov with white. Would be my guess, at least. If he will manage, who knows?
Yeah,
that should make for exciting.
That's a whole different question, yeah. But I think that pairing is the most promising in the list here, because Shah in particular against 1e4 has been, I mean, he has a reasonably wide repertoire there, but he has been going for some offbeat stuff occasionally, and in a game Magnus will very badly want to win. This is what we want to see. We don't want to see...
we could be seeing the Petrov, but
yeah.
even there, Magnus, yeah. He'll have a game plan, so it's going to be interesting. Wesley So might be looking to cash in on MVL's poor form, Wesley with the white pieces, Fishy, Caruana, and all these guys can still very much join the race for first place, really, except
sure,
MVL.
Yeah, you need to win one in this field. Like the table looks... can't speak English, but yeah, one win will most likely bring you very much into contention.
Mamedyarov is a -1 for him, it's tough, but with 2 wins, who knows? And MVL is more or less out of it. Everybody else can still very much win this tournament.
Sure.
So that brings us to the end of today's show. We'll honor the winners of the quizzes tomorrow, if that's okay with you guys. Thanks so much for keeping us company, for joining us in the chat, for watching, for supporting Chess24 by being a premium member, which allows us to do these shows. See you guys tomorrow, same time, same place.
What he said.